And I think we're live. Welcome to Massive Iron Live. I am Steve Shaw, the big, hairy, ugly dude. And I appreciate you guys joining me. We'll be on for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, depending on how many questions we get. And I already choked, and we're only 7 seconds in. Robert, I think I'm getting a little bit too old. We're going to have to shut this down. Before we get started, just a reminder, guys, you can post up questions on anything, diet, training, nutrition, supplementation, off topic, whatever, movies, we don't really care, rants, raves, general bitching, moaning, whatever. Just post up your questions. If you're new to the live, don't be shy. Post up your questions. I got to tell you, Robert is a supplement engineer. He is a supplement expert, if ever there was one. So if you have supplement questions, this is a good time to fire them up now. Before we begin, let's ask the question, who is this guy?
My name is Robert Chinetsky, the supplement engineer. I'm a former mechanical engineer by degree, obviously graduated from Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm an industry consultant, formulator, writer, researcher, and all things health, fitness, and supplementations. Also, I'm Steve's partner in crime on the Massive Iron Insider, and that's everything in a nutshell.
Yeah, so that's Robert's, and that's me. We'll be here for about 2 hours. Just a reminder, if your question doesn't show up, just continue to post it up over and over again. YouTube can be glitchy. For example, Robert runs a live video a podcast on Saturday mornings, kind of a supplement roundtable. And I try to get on there, and usually only 25% of the time my questions or comments actually show up. That's how bad YouTube can be. So, Robert, before we dive in, I just want to encourage everybody to tell us where they're from, how things are going, if they have gym access, or just any general thoughts. But before we begin, we have some pretty big news. Really excited about this. Robert and I talked to an individual yesterday. We've been kind of combing through companies to find a good partner. And it looks like the Massive Iron supplement line is going to be a real thing. So, Robert, should we give a little bit of a teaser example, maybe on the creatine, of how our products are going to be different?
Yeah. So obviously we've talked about creatine before, and this is kind of launch. This will be our initial product, because creatine, without question, save whey protein powder or caffeine, is the most studied, the most successful, the most popular bodybuilding supplement, or just supplement in sports nutrition history. And you can get them anywhere for a very, very reasonable price, very cheap. I've recommended several varieties. I buy Nutri-Cost creatine off Amazon. It's super cheap, gets the job done, and everything like that. But what we're looking to do with the Massive Iron supplement line is to go kind of like a step beyond. So obviously we know that creatine works by increasing cellular hydration and enhancing creatine phosphate stores in the muscle. So it's going to enhance your muscle's ability to rapidly regenerate and give off higher, more powerful muscle contractions in that first 5 to 10 seconds, because that's about the max limit that your muscles has for that initial, before it has to start going through glycolysis and going into anaerobic and aerobic metabolism to generate glucose and ATP. So what we're looking to do with the creatine product is we're going to have 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. We're also going to put in an additional ingredient or two that's going to work via a different mechanism to enhance ATP production levels and increase whole blood levels of ATP in the body. So a couple of options we're kicking around are Elevate ATP, which is an ingredient I've touched on here, and there's a full explainer on the Supplement Engineer website if you want to know everything there is to know about Elevate ATP. So we're going to be putting those 2 ingredients together first. And there might be 1 or 2 other little special things that we're working on that, but I'm going to save that for the official product release. So it's basically creatine plus.
Right.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, and we're not going to ramble on and on about supplements, but basically the Massive Iron line is going to be supplements we would use. No bullshit, no fluff supplements, no nonsense, just stuff you guys use, stuff we use, stuff we recommend on this channel. It's going to be 100% backed by science. And it's basically going to be the Lamborghini of the supplement world. We're not trying to make this as cheap as possible. Companies, we're trying to make this as best as possible. For example, we're talking about the possibility of putting out a new pre-workout every 6 months, but making a limited run, and every 6 months reassessing the science to put the best of the best in the pre-workout, not based on cost like everybody else does, but based on the ingredients. And then you guys can determine if the cost is worth it to you. So we'll move on past that, but stay tuned. We're going to be moving fast on that. So pay attention. We're going to be doing pre-orders likely because we're going to have limited runs of this stuff. The waters. Let's dive in. Enough bullshit. The Calfless King. Gym is going to close in 2 days. Move out of the country. Should I go and train with high volume and try to get sore? Nah, you're not really going to squeak a lot out of that. If you do anything extreme, you might wear down your immune system, if anything, especially during winter, and run the risk of getting cold. I would actually pack your bags and go on YouTube and start searching 10 countries I can move to right now. Because I'll tell you, all the COVID stuff aside, whether you like masks, don't like masks, whatever the stuff is, I am so sick of people not being able to use their gyms. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So, Robert, do you see any benefit of going high volume and killing yourself before you jump out of the airplane?
I would go high volume within reason. So if you're somebody that typically only does like 6 to 8 reps in a set, there is benefit to be had from training in higher rep ranges, going into like 15 to 25 reps. You get into a little bit more, you get a little bit bigger muscle pump, which has additive factors for muscle hypertrophy. You also get increased metabolic stress, which again is another driver of muscle hypertrophy. And it's another way to tax your body and challenge yourself both mentally and physically. But you've got to be doing the right variation. So if you can do 50 body weight squats, you need to find a harder variation. So doing 50 reps of something, it's going to make you sore, but it's not going to be a very powerful stimulator of hypertrophy and ramping up protein synthesis in the body. From the research side of it, you need to be able to do something like the upper limit of that is kind of around, it's 30% of your 1RM, so a weight that you can lift for about 30 to 35 reps. If you're doing much more than that, if you're able to do much more than 35 reps on a given exercise with proper form and all of that stuff, you need to find a harder progression or find a way to load it, because it's too low of an intensity with respect to your 1 rep max to be able to successfully induce hypertrophy.
So, Robert, before we move on in questions, I want to bring this up to those that are watching, because I think this is a really good topic. You shot it my way yesterday, and I want to have people weigh in, and I think we should do a video on this. You sent me some links to 2 videos yesterday, one from Dr. Mike and one from Athlean X, Chromosome X. You sent me 2 links, and basically they're talking about building muscle while losing fat. Am I correct?
Yeah, it was just it was kismet, or fate, or it was just it was interesting, a very happy coincidence that both channels had to released a video on, is it possible to build muscle and lose fat at the same time, or recomp, whatever you want to call it, gain.
Before we dive into that, I just want to share my experience as a coach. If somebody has not built a lot of muscle, I have seen some folks build muscle while their first 6 months of training, while they are slowly losing fat. I have seen I have one client in specific that did that. It's not easy. I've not seen it very often, but I've seen one client do it spectacularly. But then again, it could have been he really was a genetic outlier, because he had never touched a barbell, and at the end of like 8 months, he was squatting 315 for 5. Literally had never touched a barbell. I sat in here and taught him how to squat. So my bullshit aside, Robert, what's the Cliff's notes on each side of the discussion? Who weighs in where?
Yeah, I guess let me first off saying this wasn't a reactionary video, so it's not like the guys at Renaissance Periodization, Dr. Mike, released a video and then Athlean X came out and said, oh, the guys at Renaissance Periodization are retarded. And it's not like Jeff released a video and then Dr. Mike and then released a video saying Athlean X is wrong. There's no internet drama here between these 2 channels whatsoever. It just happened that they both released a video on the same day. And so it's the Cliff Notes is that Jeff got asked something. Somebody had submitted a question for their X Jeff segment and said, hey, I've heard that it's a myth that you can't really build muscle and lose fat at the same time. This is what's the story. And Jeff basically said, no, that's bullshit. You can build muscle and lose fat at the same time. I've been a champion, a proponent of doing this for damn near 10 years now, or over a decade. And his thing is that it's better for the average person to try to go about, maintain a very modest calorie deficit, because you need an energy deficit to lose fat. You can build muscle. He's arguing that you can build muscle in a calorie deficit or in a surplus. And so all you need to do is make sure you're resistance training and consuming enough protein. So by doing that, he says, hey, use a 10 to 15% calorie deficit, eat enough protein, somewhere between 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight, train your balls off with resistance training, get enough sleep, and you will be able to build muscle, because your body has this excess fat stored around it, and that's where it will pull the additional calories needed to support the muscle building process. His arguments basically against the bulking cutting thing is that people tend to just get in the bulk mindset, and then they overdo it, and then they never go back to that cutting thing where they strip all the fat off and they just go in this, a long-term perma bulk status. And then Dr. Mike's saying is that, hey, the most efficient way to do this is to do bulk cut cycles, to where you strip the fat off, you get it off real quick, and then you can start doing your massing phases. Because a few of the most powerful things that we have, like the most powerful tools in your arsenal to build muscle, whether you're natty or not, is a hypercaloric environment. So by giving your body surplus of calories, you will be more efficient to be able to build muscle. Now, Jeff did say, hey, if you are very low levels of body fat, this recomping thing is not a very effective way to do it, because if you have such little fat, the body's going to be resistant to change, and it's not going to be able to want to strip away that. It will start tapping into muscle tissue. Dr. Mike touched on those two things as well, but he also said, hey, it's really inefficient. It's going to be such slow progress. And from the research side, yes, they've shown that this recomping thing does happen. Like, you can lose fat and build muscle, but we're talking like 1% differences here, to where, sure, it shows up when you're using this highfalutin, high-tech, expensive lab equipment like a DEXA scan or something. But in real-world results, if you take your shirt off and you lose 1% body fat and you put on 1% low more lean muscle, you've had that switch of 1%, 1%. You're not going to notice anything at all one way or the other.
No, that's the big point, and that's something I've been preaching for years. Why are you going to try to dig a hole for yourself and then put yourself in that hole and try to do both at the same time? Because when you do, the results are, when you're doing both at the same time, yes, you'll be able to lose fat, but your muscle building results are going to be trivial, absolutely trivial.
Yeah.
The problem, one of the big problems we run into this with bulking, is that when people hear bulking, they think that they think about these 30 to 40 pound aggressive bulks in 3 to 4 months. Mm-hmm. That's not how it's supposed to work. Bulking is a discipline. With my clients, I start them out at 1 pound a month. And if they are a super stud in training, like, boom, they're just consistent and they're crushing it, then they get 16 pounds a year. But we are not pushing it any further than that, because even if somebody goes deep for 2 years and gains 32 pounds, let's say worst case scenario, they're training super hard and they gain 32 pounds in 2 years, but only 16 pounds of muscle, We know from natural muscle building potential that there is potential for more if you're a beginner. But even in worst case scenario, that person's put on 16 pounds of fat in 2 years, and that'll take them like 3 months tops to get that off. And then they're pretty much set for life, right? Set for life. So, yep. Why put yourself in a hole? Why try to make the process harder? That's the cornerstone here, Robert, and correct me if I'm wrong. Why make the process harder? Because the average individual, number one, isn't training hard enough right now to build any real muscle anyway. Right. And as far as a cutting diet, I got news for you. Working with clients, consistency on a cutting diet is extremely rare. I might have one person out of my pool of clients that hits it every single day. Mm-hmm. Like last weekend, one client was like, I went away up north. We did some fishing. I ate too much. I did this. I did that. And guess what? This weekend's the Super Bowl, right? And then after that, guess what? It's Valentine's Day. And oh my God, St. Patrick's Day. I'm Irish. It's
always an excuse. Yeah. You're always going to have something come up.
Right. So the point is, a consistent cutting diet is very, very rare. And it's very, very rare to see somebody actually training hard enough to build muscle as it is. So, you combine those two and then you're like, I'm going to do Athlean X's, good luck. That's all I have to say. May the fork be with you. All right. How was that? Really bad. All right. The Catholics King, how to train your legs at home with dumbbells only. Man, this has been my life in 2020. Training legs at home, I find, is one of the hardest tasks. Really. I mean, dumbbell squats, no. You're going to do a lot of lunges, a lot of Bulgarian split squats. You're going to do a lot of supersets, maybe with goblet squats and Bulgarian split squats and all that kind of stuff. You can do body weight squats, pause squats, jump squats, put your wife on your back, put your neighbor on your back, whatever you're into. We don't judge. But it's hard. You really got to, if you're going to be training at home for a long period of time, you really need to do something. A TRX unit, you can bring in TRX squats. There's some equipment like a sissy squat machine, which I bought for $100. You basically got to do something. You can train your legs, but it's probably going to be with more intensity and harder than you would actually at a gym. What are your thoughts, Robert?
Yeah, man, this is my wheelhouse. I've come to love training legs at home. I've always trained at home. 95% of my time training has always been at home. So I've come up with really creative ways to torture myself and be able to build muscle and strength in my lower body. And I love training legs, so it's kind of a passion project of mine. Get used to embracing the suckiness of single leg work, and I say that in the best way possible, Calfless King. Get some, I'm not sure how heavy of dumbbells you have, but Bulgarian split squats will take you very far, especially if you're doing them properly. You're not just bouncing down, or you're doing like the Instagram booty model girl where she's just doing like these little half reps and make sure for your back leg support, don't get something super fucking high. I mean, all that's going to do is cause you to excessively arch your back, and it's going to put too much strain on your hip flexor. It's going to cause hyperextension of the low back, and it's not good. You just need something low, maybe something no higher than your knee height is where you want that back support for your back leg there. A protocol I like to use, so I'll start all of my leg sessions. I steal this thing from John Meadows, where you start with leg curls. You can do floor leg curls, sliding floor leg curls. So take a hand towel, put those under each foot. And if you've got tile floor or a wooden floor, that works really well. Go up, pull your legs in, bridge up, squeeze your legs together, squeeze the hamstrings as hard as you can with the glutes. Go back out real slow. You do that as like a block training method, 2 or 3 minutes of that, you will have some serious cramping in your hamstrings and ass cheeks like never before. Then I move on to every other minute of Bulgarian split squats. So I set a timer. Once I get up, finish my working sets, I start a timer. I'll do 8 or 10 reps on my left leg at time 0. Then and it takes 30, 40 seconds. I have until the 2-minute comes up, and then I switch to my right leg. And this way you're able to load up the exercise heavy enough, and the cardiovascular component isn't the limiting factor like it would be if you went 10 reps on your left leg and then immediately tried to go 10 reps in your right leg. That's more of like endurance stuff. If you're trying to build actual muscle and strength and increase the weights that you're using, do this give yourself like a good minute and a half in between each of the two sides. So do that. So 0 on the left leg, 2 minutes on the right leg, 4 minutes on the left leg, 6 minutes on the right leg. And you keep going back, and you do somewhere between 3 and 5 sets of that. Then I'll move on to bodyweight walking lunges for total reps. So I'll start with 50 reps per leg, and it takes about 5 minutes, doing rest pause along the way. And you just work on adding reps each week. After that, I'll finish with RDLs because my dumbbells go up to 100 pounds each. I've got the power blocks that go up to 100 pounds each, and so you can do that. Some other options, you can work on shrimp squats. You can buy one of those little sissy squat machines that Steve and I have talked about before. That's really good for a burnout. Elevated, put your leg up on a bench, do elevated hip thrusts as another burnout move, and you can do a superset of like front to back lunges or step up on a chair into a reverse lunge. You can call them like a convict lunge or a step through lunge or whatever like that. So you step up, lunge, and then your other leg is going to be the one that goes backwards, and that's another good burnout one after you've done your heavy Bulgarians as your primary compound movement at the beginning to your main muscle builder.
One thing I do for my running training, my running coach has me do is I'm on my back and my knees are up, so the feet are on the floor. I'll lift up one leg straight up, and then I'll push up with the other leg to get my booty off the floor. So we're kind of working hamstrings and bootylicious and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, single leg pit thrusts are awesome.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff, but leg training. I remember the days when you were single and like really shy and insecure, and you would see that girl like in college, and you'd be like, I just want to talk to her. I just I can't get the courage. She's on the league. That's kind of where people are at with home workouts. You either got to go for it. You either got to some equipment, or in my example, just go talk to the girl. Just commit. You got to commit, or you're just going to be in misery. You're just going to have a big challenge. So you're going to have to add something. You're either going to say, I'm going to wait this out until all this nonsense ends, or I'm going to commit now and buy a little bit of equipment. The one thing I'll say is it's a seller's market with gym equipment. So when all this madness ends, if it ever ends, and I do not think it's going to cool down for a couple of years, you're going to be sitting around with some gym equipment that you may or may not have a use for, but probably somebody else might. I don't know.
Yeah.
Speaking of COVID, just a note, the news this morning was that the current rate of vaccination. You know how the news agencies like to scare us into thinking this is never going to end and give us
fear mongers. Yep.
Yeah. Well, the story this morning was that the current rate of vaccination, it'll take 7 years before everyone's vaccinated. So prepare to be wearing your mask forever.
I just don't go anywhere. I mean, fuck it all. I just don't. I'm going to be moving to northern Georgia.
I don't either.
Fuck it.
I do not either. So how do I know I'm getting enough protein? Count it. I mean, I'm not being facetious here, but everything you have. These are my dog snacks right here, and sometimes human snacks because they're pretty damn good. These old Wisconsin snack sticks, turkey. They're turkey, so they got to be healthy because they're turkey. Right there. Protons, 7 grams for 2 sticks. All you get. I mean, I'm not being short with you, man, but it's just counting. It's super easy. If you go into MyFitnessPal, you can scan this. Where is it? Whoop, that way. You can scan that with your phone, and it'll tell you. And I mean, in a general sense, you might be asking, how do I know that I'm getting enough to build muscle? Basically, my thing is aim for about 1 gram. There's 2 factors here. Number one, nutritional balance. So if you have a very fast metabolism and you're eating over 3,000 calories a day, you probably want a little bit more protein just for nutritional balance. But I like for you to aim not just for grams of protein for your existing lean body mass, but to go about 20 grams over,
Steve, can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
My wife, so my laptop is connected to my phone. They're both Apples. Sandy just sent me a text message. She said, my students are asking, do you like Greg Doucette? What should I respond to her?
Tell them Massive Iron is better. So
I will.
Greg Doucette's a fine chap, but Massive Iron is the most knowledgeable voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do that. I'll let you roll. I'm going to type this back to her.
So Capitalist King, basically, your lean body mass, the lean body you're going to be aiming for. So, for the average 5'10" individual, 170, 180 grams is a good place to be. I like to set 150 as a red line bare minimum. Shooting with Uncle Dan. Did I win? Uncle Dan, you win every day. Everybody's a winner here at Massive Iron. All right. King, I train with only body weight, kettlebells, and dumbbells. It works for me. Where there's a will, there's a way, and nothing could not be more true. Would you consider adding 1 to 2 reps a month on dumbbell bench and dumbbell shoulder press, normal or slow? Currently pushing 75 dumbbells for each. That's normal. Here's why it's normal, and somebody's going to disagree with me, but listen to Matt. If you are, you're doing 75-pound dumbbells for bench. That's basically 150 in dumbbell weight. Let's just say that equates to 180 in barbell weight or whatever. It doesn't really matter. We're being arbitrary here. Let's say you're doing 180 for 10 bench press. Where's our handy dandy 1 rep max calculator? We're going to do a math lesson here once I can find this. All right, where's our magic screen share? Okay, let's get this off here. So we're in pounds. Let's say you do 180 for 10 reps, okay? Your approximate max is 240. If you add a rep to that, your approximate max is 246. Okay, you might be like, well, that's high reps. So let's say you're 225, and you do your fives because you like Mark Rippetell, right? You do your fives because he's a fine chap. He's from Texas. He drinks bourbon. He's a ruffian. All right, so your 1 rep max is 253.2. You pop an extra rep on your next workout. Boom, your max is up 8 pounds. This is not a fairy tale. This is reality. So at an intermediate level of strength, every rep you add on your top set, and let me stress your top set, you're going to add anywhere from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 pounds on your 1 rep max. So as an intermediate lifter, if you're adding 1 rep per month, you are on a very good path. It's true. So most people think they have plateaued at that stage, when in reality, they don't understand the standards. Anything to add to that, Robert?
Nope. You crushed it, Steve.
All right, the Catholic King. Muscle Tech versus Optimum Nutrition. Which is better? This is Robert's wheelhouse.
I would go with Optimum. They have not been busted for spiking protein like Muscle Tech was.
Yeah, I'd go with Optimum just because Muscle Tech has been guilty over the years of putting out so many bullshit ads and so much nonsense, snake oil, crazy, stupid, silly claims that I would not support them just on principle.
No. Also, but there are, between those two, if those are the only 2 options you have, definitely Optimum. But there are a bunch of other better tasting proteins on the market if you are willing to dabble outside of those 2, or if you have access to other ones and the funds to go for it.
I haven't even looked at. I remember back in the day, like they changed their branding. I was unaware. Now it looks generic and silly.
Yeah, they just revamped it 2 or 3 months ago, I think.
Yeah, it completely looks generic and lifeless now. And I'm glad they changed the M a little bit so it didn't look like MTS Nutrition, but this looks like Uncle Bob's line from the basement. But the claims, it looks more normal than it did in the past. Their product page doesn't have a lot of hype and exploding zebras and flaming lizards and
many nasty letters from the FDA saying, "Watch your claims, shitbags."
Yeah, you shitbags. All right, shooting with Uncle Dan. I use a 30-gram pre-mixed protein from Walmart Equate brand. It is just so much faster, but costs more, slightly over $1 per shake. Any thoughts on that? I have not used that in a long time. The Walmart brand.
Let me pull it up and see.
All right.
I mean, is it? I understand it's convenient, but is it how? And I don't mean it to come off like an ass saying this, but how hard is it to put water in a shaker cup and shake it? I don't mean to be a dick. I'm curious when they say it's convenient to do this. I mean, you just have a tub of protein in your car, put the scoop in, throw some water in, and then it's going to be so much cheaper.
We're not trying to be an asshole, Uncle Dan. I just, when we're talking about shaving microseconds off, I think it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is if something's super clumpy, I wouldn't buy it either,
Yeah. 30 grams of protein, 5 grams of carbohydrates, 3 grams of fat. Let's see. We've got a fairly long ingredient label: water, milk protein concentrate, milk protein isolate, cocoa, So that's good. They're starting off, they're using milk protein concentrate, milk protein isolate. So it's not soy protein or something cheap like that. Sodium phosphate, potassium citrate, calcium caseinate, whey protein concentrate, carrageenan, stabilizer, sucralose, potassium hydroxide, ACE-K is the sweetener. And that's got a bunch of added vitamins and minerals. I mean, yeah, this is fine. I wouldn't put too much stock in the vitamins and minerals because they're using some of the less bioavailable forms, like the anything like you've got cyanocobalamin for B12. The methylcobalamin is the preferred form of that. The pyridoxine hydrochloride is the less bioavailable form of B6. You want the P5P form. Yeah. So I mean, if you this is a perfectly fine option to use. I just, if when they say it's so much faster, I don't see how it's, you're putting water in a shaker cup with a scoop of protein and shaking it. So you can get a much better deal just buying a tub of protein powder and just sticking it in your car if that's what you need it for.
All right, Robert, we're going to move on to some booty training. I'm going to share. Robert, you'll notice when you share screen, there's also a video file share. Be careful of that. It's a new feature. You can accidentally share a video file from your computer.
Oh, cool. I want to show the naked sex video of you and me together.
Yes, that one we're saving for when we want to launch our pre-workout. Exercises that train the glute medius. For those keeping score at home, there's the glute medius. I don't, when it comes to hips, glutes, that sort of thing, I'm one that does, that looks at the big pictures, squats, deadlifts, all the leg work, all the hinge work, just as looking. And I don't train it specifically because here's the thing. You see a lot of people training the glutes on social media, and they're trying to get bigger glutes by using all kinds of unique exercises.
Clamshells and all that stuff.
Yeah. But the question I always ask is, are your big guns, like, let's go to war, but we're going to try to be ninjas first before we're going to roll out the battleships and the cruisers and the squad. Try to be ninjas. That's what they're kind of trying to do here. They're like, I'm going to be a ninja, right? That's what this type of training is. I'm going to be a ninja. You got to bring out the big guns. And if the big guns aren't building a big booty after 3 to 4 years, then you probably have to get more specific, going for feel, looking for variations, doing supersets, etc. Any thoughts, Robert, on let's say you really want to add in an exercise or two for glute medius. Is there anything you would suggest?
Yeah, I wouldn't bother with any of the isolation exercises. Like they have isolation exercises. So clamshells, the little sideline hip, like the Jane Fonda stuff and all of that. You can use that's things PTs use if you have movement dysfunction in the hips or you're coming back from an injury. But anytime you're doing single leg work, the glute med is going to be recruited in that. So like we're going back to Catholic King's earlier question about ways to train legs at home. Do front lunges, do reverse lunges, do Bulgarian split squats, do step-ups into reverse lunges. You could even do a side lunge. There's an exercise where it's basically a sliding reverse lunge. So your plant leg, instead of stepping out to the side with the side lunge, you're going to drop down on the working leg and let your other leg slide out to the side. And so you get a little bit of the abductors working as well. So that way, so here's one leg and the other leg is going to slide out on a towel or something. And then you're squatting down on this leg and then stand up and you draw that leg in. That's going to tax the shitload out of your glute med in addition to your glute max, which is going to be the main muscle. Like if you're trying to build a bigger ass, focus on exercises that are actually going to increase the size of your glute max. The glute med, nobody ever looks at a bodybuilder and says, man, he's got a really, really good glute med muscle. I'm going to give him the Sandow. It's, don't worry about, you're not having movement dysfunction in your glute med. Do some single leg exercises, and that's going to give you all the training you need right there for it.
One of the things I incorporate in as many programs as I can is lunges, 100 reps of lunges, rest, pause. And people are like, shouldn't I add weight? Well, let's survive the rest, pause work, first. I mean, there's so many big hitting exercises for the legs that also target the booty that I toss this in as a kind of a finisher, but lunges, learning to do lunges properly is a good thing.
Yeah.
Lane Norton's pre-workout. I think we had this one about 3-4 months ago.
We did. Capitalist King. Go check out the Supplement Engineer podcast, and I sit down and go through the pre-workout with Lane in great detail.
This was podcast. This was on which one of your? Was this on a live video or?
It was the Supplement Engineer podcast, episode 1 something. I don't remember.
I'm trying to find it here on. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do the old screen share Ruski. It is on YouTube's, and it is on. Where can they find your podcasts?
They can find it on the Supplement Engineer YouTube channel or iTunes, Podbean, Amazon, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, all the major podcast platforms. It's on there.
Yeah, so Robert gets around a lot. And what I mean by that is a lot of the big names in the industry Robert is talking to. So for those of you that kind of just see Robert on this channel, you really should head over to his supplement YouTube channel, because I see big names coming by there all the time. Who are some of the biggest names you've had on your podcast so far?
I've had John Meadows on there twice. I've had Lane Norton on there. I've had Dr. Eric Helms on there from 3D Muscle Journey. I've had Dr. Eric Trexler on there twice. Dr. Scott Stevenson. Mark Lobleiner's been on there. Mark Glazier from NutriBio has been on there. Robert Samborski from Apollo Nutrition. Shane Smith of Stack3D.com has been on there, which is the leading supplement news site in the industry. I've had Chris Duffin, the mad scientist of strength from Build Fast Formulas, on there. The owner of Inspired Nutraceuticals is on there. And then this Saturday, we're having the owner of Ghost come on the podcast, Dan Larenko, who used to be a bigwig with Cellucor. I've had the Glaxon guys on the podcast a couple of times as well. So
I'm just going to say, as far as information goes, I think, there are popular channels out there on YouTube, that have tons and tons and tons of, subscribers. And that's not we're not addressing their information, etc. But I will say that Robert's channel is just packed full of information. And if you dig deep into it, it's definitely worth looking at. There's just tons of information. And sometimes when I'm running, I'll just put one on and listen, because like tomorrow I got a 2-hour run. So sometimes, Robert, I'll just take you and tuck you into my fanny pack. I actually do have a fanny pack for running. And
Sadie's going to be your biggest fan. She loves fanny packs for whatever reason. She loves fanny packs. So you just went up another 5 points in Sadie's cool
index. In the running world, they got those backpack things where you got the water jugs and the things, and I can't reach any of that while I'm running. I can't even do the thing. So I need a fanny pack to drop my phone in and my keys in. That's the truth.
Yeah. Just as a high level answer to, without getting too much into the weeds about Lane's pre-workout, it's dosed very well. It's very straightforward. There's no super bells or whistles. 6 grams of citrulline malate, 3.2 grams of beta alanine, 300 grams of caffeine, 300 milligrams of rhodiola, which is one of my favorite nootropics/adaptogens, and it's got some good exercise data on it, and 150 milligrams of L-Dopa, which is the direct precursor to dopamine in the brain. So increased dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter involved with mood, motivation, energy, focused.
Whoop. We just lost Robert. I think I just accidentally kicked Robert. I was trying to kick the screen share and I kicked Robert. So, hey, Robert, I was trying to kick the screen share. There was two Roberts down there. One was a screen share, and I'm like, I got to get rid of the screen share off here.
The hell happened? I was rolling.
Get out of here. I'm sorry. What were you saying? Did I interrupt you? Obviously.
What was the last thing I said?
I don't know.
That's fine. It's a solid pre-workout. There's no bells or whistles. It's got just research-backed stuff in there. You'll be good with it. But wait till Steve and I release our pre-workout, and it'll be even better. Shameless plug.
On Scotty Mac. That was a glitch in StreamYard, because it showed you here twice. And I don't know if you were on with your phone or your computer or not. But it showed you on here twice as two individuals, so I kicked one. And it kicked you both. So that was a StreamYard glitch. All right, I won't do it again. Thoughts about first building strength to a certain level with reasonable volume, sets and reps, and then reducing the weight slightly and doing more high rep work. Not a fan of it because strength, you're trying to create something that's not efficient. You're trying to take a good process and overcomplicate it and make it more complicated and add too many steps. And I've talked about this a lot in the last month. Rep work, you need a variety of rep work. You need a variety of exercises. So you can't just do low rep work and then build strength and then move on to higher rep work and drop the weight. It's not that simple. I mean, why the belief that you need to build strength and lower rep work is flawed. It's flawed, and I talked about that many times over the years. Strength is not built just with low rep work. I didn't touch a set under 6 for 20 years. I didn't even know what powerlifting was. And by the time I did, I was stronger than anybody I knew. So the whole structure is flawed, and you're adding too many parts. You build strength and muscle at the same time, and you don't need low reps. You don't need low reps to do it. And I'm not bashing on you, Shashank, because you're a frequent listener, and I appreciate that. But we got to get out of our head that we need low rep sets for strength. That's something that's an advanced principle. Like once you have milked all the muscle and strength you can, and you're a late intermediate, then it might be time to mess around with low rep sets to increase overall strength while you have muscle. Any thoughts on that, Robert?
No, I mean you said everything I was going to say more or less on the topic, so I don't need to further kick a dead horse.
Yeah, and plus a workout has a myriad of exercises, right? We've seen from the research that multiple exercises is better for hypertrophy. So if you're doing, say, bench and then a dumbbell bench variation, incline, decline, whatever, flat, and then you're doing dips and push-ups, supersets like I give to my client, and then machine chest press, you got all these exercises in the mix. And there's generally a rep range for each of us that we like to work in. Like for me, I would do the bench heavy set, and then I would do back off sets. So I do one heavy set, one set, and this was as an advanced lifter, one set of 3 to 5 reps. And then I do back off sets for max reps, and I do dumbbell work for a lot of volume. And then I would do like push-ups for max reps, maybe a machine chest press or something. Rep ranges, don't worry about rep ranges, right? Just keep them natural and what works best for you.
Yeah.
That's not the magic. How's it going, Stein? Appreciate you tuning in. I never feel my glutes. Well, just reach those hands around the backside and give them a good squeeze while training. But get sore the next day. Am I doing something wrong? No. I get this question a lot. I don't feel a muscle working when I'm in the gym, but it gets sore. Like leg training. I never feel my quads. In 35 years, I only feel my hamstrings, but my quads are monsters. You got to separate results, like compound movements. You can't feel every muscle in a compound movement. It's far too complex. Focus on your form and trust the process. Don't worry about what you're feeling on a compound movement. If you want to get all feely on a back off exercise, like a machine chest press or a push-up, once the hard work is done, then you can, but you're not doing anything wrong. Just focus on your form. You'll be absolutely fine. And if things aren't fine, then you can add an exercise in. Anything to add, Robert?
Nope. Not at all.
All right. We're going to pile drive, Robert, with My Protein EAA, Essential Amino Acid Greens. What do we got going on here, Robert? We got my brain cannot handle this product name because we got protein, we got EAAs, and we got greens. What in the world is it?
So My Protein is a big company that's based out of the UK. They've just released it's a relatively recent formula called EAA plus greens. So it's got 6.25 grams of essential amino, or 6.2 grams of essential amino acids using the patented Amino 9 blend, which has some data on it showing that this, the 6.2 grams of essential amino acids has been shown to stimulate muscle protein synthesis as effectively as a comparable serving of whey protein. So it's boosted MPS levels in the body to the same level like a 25-gram scoop of whey protein would. And then they've also got in, they've thrown in a couple of grams of greens, which my thoughts on greens, I don't see them having much, if any, benefit whatsoever. You get 6.2 grams of amino 9. You get 300 milligrams of barley grass, 50 milligrams of cranberry extract, 100 milligrams of kale, 150 milligrams of broccoli powder, 50 milligrams of pineapple powder, 50 milligrams of raspberry powder, 150 milligrams of spinach powder, 60 milligrams of spirulina powder, 50 milligrams of psyllium husk, which is mostly going to be fiber, and 50 milligrams of watermelon powder. I've made it pretty clear before. I don't really think there's a whole lot of benefit to greens powders. Sure, you might be getting some kind of antioxidants and polyphenols, but we have no idea of the vitamin and nutrient content of these because the processing methods of these, we don't know if it's cold pressed, heat treated, how's it stored, is it overly oxidized or anything like that. And looking through their ad copy on here, I don't like the way that they've worded this. It says, why choose us? EAA Plus Greens is packed with 6,200 milligrams of essential amino acids, which has been shown to stimulate as much protein synthesis as whey, but with a much lower insulin spike, making it the perfect alternative to protein shakes for building and maintaining muscle. No. All right, let's do this. Don't consume any whole protein for a whole month. Drink just enough essential amino acids to suffice this. So every time you have a whey protein shake, just have 6.2 grams of essential amino acids. Every time you have 30 grams of protein at dinner, just have 6.2 grams of essential amino acids. Let's see how well you're recovering and how well your muscle gains are after 3 or 4 months of doing just EAs. I hate this argument so much, especially with the fact that my protein, it's called a protein company. Why are you marketing something saying, hey, never mind, we don't need your protein. It's completely useless. Just buy this little shitty EAA blend. You don't have to buy our protein powder anymore. Protein's useless. And the insulin spike from protein is so transient. They're trying to do this fear mongering with that insulin is this big boogeyman. The spike from whey protein, it's up and then back and then it's gone. It's not like it's bottoming out your blood sugar levels or anything like that. It's not the same as the insulin spike you would get from guzzling a 2 liter of Coca-Cola full sugar or anything like that. So EAA, sure, they're fine. I drink them. Do I think they're doing anything magical? No. And it's certainly not a replacement for regular protein in a day. Not even close.
So thank you, Robert. That's, as always, extremely educational with everything that comes out of your mouth. So before we go on, guys, I just want to let you know we answer every question. If we miss your question, please head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman or at the Supplement Engineer and slide into our DM. Better yet, head over to the website above my head, join the Massive Iron Insider. With the Insider, you can join the forum and you get to ask Robert any questions at any time, me any questions at any time. You have a direct pipeline. You also get access to members-only articles and master classes. The master classes, we need to pop out another one here soon. And you get access to my app and you get one-on-one micro-coaching from me. Look, some guys use it, some guys don't. The guys that don't end up quitting the Insider. I wish they would use it. I got a lot of guys on the Insider that I communicate with every day. I'm looking at their form. I'm, critiquing their workouts, and they say, "Hey, what does my diet look like?" It's not full-blown training, but head over there and check out the Insider now. My wife's here. I want to share something first before I let her pop in here, and I'm not going to comment. Robert, I don't want you to comment, okay? But Greg Doucette made a video, best supplements for ectomorphs, and this is one of them. I'm not going to comment, and I'm not going to have Robert comment, but I want to think what everybody else has to say about a YouTube salary, recommending testosterone to a wide audience of ectomorphs. I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, we got my wife here. What's going on? Can we help you with something?
You wanted to say hello.
We got the weekly appearance of this guy's grown like an inch every single week.
He's
I swear
sleepy.
to God.
He's very sleepy. What's wrong? You shy? Are you shy?
His name is Mr. Butters. But his new name, we start calling him Bubba Sausage.
He's gotten long.
All right. Peanut wants to get in on the video, but I'm not picking her up. All right. So and you know, I'm not jabbing at Greg Doucette. You know, I'm not trying to start a war, but it's just it's an interesting topic. What do you guys think about a YouTube celebrity recommending testosterone?
Drugs. All right, I'll be right back.
All right, Robert's going to go take a dump. I definitely need to update my strength goals. I watched a video of Samantha Eugenie. At first, I thought I would never lift an iron again. I would go to yoga. Samantha Eugenie. Now, I got to admit, I have no idea. So I'm a little bit scared to look at this because maybe she looks more than me. Okay. Yeah, she looks like a pretty strong gal. Samantha Eugenie, 195 kilogram deadlift at 17 years old. It's sumo. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, I talk about this on this channel a lot. A lot of the women I've trained for competition, and you see at a powerlifting meet, they're stronger than the average guy at the gym. That's just reality. And I tell guys, you got to increase your strength standards. And everybody, you know, you get like these 40% comments that are like, I'm just going to do mind muscle, pinky twist, nipple twerks, and all this kind of bullshit. And I've had great results. Dude, you're still fucking weaker than Samantha Eugenie. You have not had great results. Stop lying to yourself. Now, I'm not talking to you, Yari or Jari. I assume it's Yari. But like the average individual that is, you know, trying to, you know, talk about the mind muscle connection and feeling the muscle, like you couldn't even carry this woman's luggage. You know, that's the reality. So most people definitely need to up their standards. All right. You want to see what we're talking about, Robert? Do you know Samantha Eugenie?
I don't follow powerlifting all of that much. I mean, I know some of the names in there, but I don't follow it as close as I do other things.
195 kilogram deadlift at age 17. I can believe it because when I was training my daughter, we were close to 275 at the age of 14 and 104 pounds. And she'd only been training seriously for about a year. So we were trying to get her to 350 at age 14, at age 15. So
that's what we're going to do with our halfling, man. She sees us training. Like, she's at daycare Monday through Friday, but she sees me and Sandy training on Saturday and Sundays. And so she starts doing some of the movements with us. I'm going to get her to be a world record power lifter or bodybuilder or something when by the time she's going to start. I wish my parents would have started me resistance training younger.
Start cracking the whip. Get her to do something that'll make an income.
Yep.
Did 7 mini sets with 100 kilograms on my squat today. It's awesome. That's bulldozer type of training. One thing I'll recommend if you're going to do rest pause squats, don't hesitate to take the rest periods out upwards of 90 seconds. You can have increasing rest periods, but I wouldn't go super tight on those because basically you stop a set, you unrack the weight, you're sitting there for 15 seconds wondering where you are in the universe, and then you got to get under the bar again. So don't hesitate to expand those rest between sets. Philo68 is here for the spice. What? We went the wrong way. The spice is over there. All right. Hey, Robert, is there truth to vitamin A toxicity due to eating liver as a protein source?
That's a really good question. Typically, when we're talking about vitamin toxicities, that's usually a byproduct of overdoing it with supplements. The body's pretty efficient at utilizing nutrients from food and recycling, converting it, and excreting it when it doesn't need it. That being said, if you're eating liver all day, every day as your only protein source, like you're eating it 4 times a day and you're having a bunch of sweet potatoes and a bunch of carrots all at the same time, I'm inclined to believe you could, get some vitamin A toxicity issues. But if you're just having it, once or twice a week, it's nothing to be concerned about.
Stian, hey, from Norway. How's it going, Stian? Good to hear from you. Frank from the UK, where the gyms will never open because of Boris. Thoughts on Creapure?
It's kind of looked at it's made by Alzchem, the German company that's been kind of like the gold standard for creatine. It's perfectly fine. I don't think it's necessarily worth the cost. If you just get any kind of micronized creatine monohydrate powder, which is what we'll be using in the Massive Iron line, is going to be fine. That it's going to be incredibly effective, just as effective as CreaPure, which has been shown to be 99.9% pure creatine. But every other micronized creatine monohydrate that's on the market from a reputable company is going to be 99.9% pure creatine monohydrate. So it's good, but it's nothing that's any more special than regular micronized creatine.
Thanks, Robert. I'm just going to inject real quick, just for fun, because it is my channel. Right here we have Zeus. We have Zeus.
There we go.
Yeah, we have Zeus. So for fun, because all the races are shut down, we started doing virtual runs just to keep up our motivation and, to set goals. And there's some really good sites that have that stuff. But it's funny, running a channel like Robert last week, someone was like, who's the skinny guy that doesn't lift weights? Like, oh, that's Robert. But Robert, to make you feel better.
The skinny nerd.
Skinny nerd.
There we go.
For me, I'll get the new guys that find my channel through somebody else and they go, who's this fat guy? And I'm like, this fat guy is training to run 100. What I'm actually training for is to run 200 miles in 96 hours. So you'll get to see the whole documentary. For those of you that are tuning in late, we're still documentary 96 hours. But new guys of the channel think I'm a fat guy who doesn't lift. And I thought about putting together a fat guy challenge, like a web page for anybody that calls me fat in the comments, where I log my daily runs, and I will not banish your comments from the channel if you match my weekly cardio. If not, I'll be the fat running guy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Robert looks way more credible with the specs on. That's how he sneaks in the back door and fools you.
Yeah, that's I've worn glasses since I have horrible eyes. I'm -6.5 in each eye. I've had them since I was in 2nd grade is when I think I got glasses. I had big red round frames that had a little Super Mario on the inside going wing like that. It had a little Nintendo logo and everything. And then I've had different pairs of glasses over the years. I got contacts in 7th grade. But lately I've really been enjoying wearing glasses again, because probably for a year I had some glasses, but they were broken. Like this is a new pair that I got maybe 3 or 4 months ago, but they were broken on the arm here, and I just had duct tape or some other kind of electrical tape on there. So it was this really janky looking pair. So then I did one of those internet send off to send them my prescription, and they'll send me frames. So I have 2 pairs of glasses now. So I have this one that I like, which I prefer these. Yeah, see, all the best people wear glasses. So I've got these glasses, but Sandy says I kind of look like a serial killer accountant in movies when I wear these. And so I bought 2 pairs of glasses. These were the kind that she actually likes, where I don't mind wearing these, but she says she prefers me in these, which I'm okay with these. I don't wear these as much. I wear them like at home if I'm reading or something, but I actually prefer these. So you guys out there, which ones do you prefer? The serial killer accountant glasses, or the kind of the Clark Kent other ones, the black frames? I like both. These are a little bit lighter on my head, so yeah.
I feel more comfortable snuggling with you with those on, to be honest.
with these on, Steve?
Those on, yeah. The ones you get on now.
Okay, well, good.
I don't know why. I'm just drawn to you when you put yeah, glasses. I used to wear glasses, but it's a funny story. I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure if anybody else has a similar experience in life, but when I was 8 years old, I was getting a lot of headaches in school. So they sent me off, and they're like, oh, you need to wear glasses. That's why you're getting headaches, because your eyes are trying to focus. So from age 8 till about age 46, I wore glasses. And then one day I woke up and I got out of bed, and I was reaching for my glasses in the thing above the toilet, because I had a smaller bathroom apartment at the time. And I reached for my glasses while I'm simultaneously taking a leak. Okay. So I'm done taking a leak, and I'm reaching for my glasses, and I flush the toilet, and the glasses go straight down as it's flushing, and they go off into the netherworld. That's not a lie. But the funny thing is, I had to get my new Ohio driver's license like the next week. Yeah. And I was paranoid because I'd failed the vision test. Well, I went in and I crushed the vision test. And like right eye is like 2010 and my left eye was only like 2060. And I'm not sure, like, I don't wear glasses. I don't need them. I can see fine. And I'm not sure why over the billions and millions of years that I was wearing glasses when I don't have any functional issues. I can pass a driving test. So I think my vision.
Can you see this okay? You can see this okay?
I can see that okay.
Okay, all right, good.
My left vision, I think, somewhere between 2060 and 2080. I don't know. James, Iron Man, just wanted to drop by and say thank you both for putting this content together. Watching old episodes is really helping me get through the lockdown. Thank you. We sincerely appreciate your support. And I know we get kind of stupid and silly at times in here, but when you're locked in a room with me and Robert for 2.5 hours, eventually something crazy is going to happen.
Yep.
We're just crazy people. Brendan Bowman, is it okay when you go to the gym to always start with either bench, squat, or deadlift, then just do isolation movements? You always want to start with your big hitter. You want to do your big hitter because it's the least forgiving exercise, meaning if you don't have if you're not locked and loaded with the most mental focus and physical capacity, you're going to get yourself hurt. So that is the way to train. There are exceptions, like if you're doing a full body and you want to do squats at the end of your workout, it's okay if they're lighter squats, like 20 rep squats, where the exercise is a little bit forgiving. But, if you're doing some bodybuilding gymnastic type of thing, where you're supersetting squats and leg extensions at the end of your training and the squats are relatively light, then it's okay. Anything to add to that, Robert?
No. Structure your training around your goals. If your focus is on the big three, then yeah, it makes sense to put those things first in your workout. On that, that's when you're going to be at your freshest, both mentally and physically.
All right, here's a new gentleman for the channel, Chipala Stelko. A massagist said I have a lactic acid built up in my crackosaurus. The typical resolution would be stretching, but it's a deep muscle. Do I train hard and just visit the massagist for it? And I just said crackosaurus for fun. I was actually waiting for like 15 minutes just to say crackosaurus because that's my bad sense of humor. What do we got? Brachialis.
Brachialis, yeah.
Brachialis, yeah. Something. What that's I gotta
the brachialis is the muscle that's in between the biceps and triceps, but I'm trying to figure out what the hell is the coracobrachialis? Is that a different muscle?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering because I've been doing this a long time and I've never had that car drive up into my driveway before. What in the world?
Oh no, it's the same. No.
It looks like no, it's not on the side of the arm.
No, it looks like it's up here.
It's like inside here on the inside.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How the hell did you get that in there? That's interesting. Okay.
Well, here's a better. Let me share this picture for those keeping score at home. Let's see here. Boom. Okay, so there's the normal brachialis that we talk about in muscle building.
Right.
But it looks like the tie-in muscle, like the tie-in up there.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's kind of going up where the bicep tendon is. I think, I tend to do a lot of pull-ups and stuff like that, and that gets really tight on me a lot of the times.
Why is the brachialis on the inside of the elbow when we talk about it on the outside?
Like it starts here and then it goes on up. Like so, it starts here on your forearm, and it goes like right there, and then it kind of goes up and it situates in between your bicep and tricep right there.
But isn't it on the outside of the arm?
Yeah,
that's what's messing me off in this picture. It's not very accurate. Yeah,
maybe it's like beneath the regular the part of the biceps. I would get like not a massage gun, but get like a lacrosse ball and like put your arm out this way and just like needle into that son of a bitch and just like massage the hell out of it and try and do it that way.
No, lactic acid buildup. I mean, what?
Yeah, I don't know if that's right.
that doesn't. I mean, you might have some soreness or stiffness.
Yeah, scar tissue, but that.
But what would, I mean? How can lactic acid? If you got lactic acid buildup in a muscle over a long period of time, that sounds like some kind of a medical condition.
Yeah, I think the massagist might be using the wrong term there. I mean, that's going to be like scar tissue built up or just adhesions in the muscle. It's not lactic acid. That's a metabolite that's going to get recycled and cleared out of the system.
I think maybe we're talking about like lingering or deep muscle soreness. Something, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Hot baths, candlelight, foam rollers, the movie Twilight, or things like that. I mean, I'm no expert in that stuff, but if you have assuming it's like a deep muscle soreness, and I've had this before, sometimes I can train with deep muscle soreness. I've had it very infrequently, and I don't know what really the cause is, but it's never hindered my training, but I've always been aware of it. But one thing I always like to do over the years is, one of my guilty pleasures, and I can't do now, is after training, I would eat and then I'd come home and take a nice hot bath and just chill, just let the body soak. And I'm not sure that's really going to do much for you, but it won't do any harm either. Should you arch your lower back during hack squats? Should you hyperextend your lower back in or out during any leg exercise? You don't want to force your booty back and hyperextend your lower back in. You also don't want to hyperextend your lower back out. You want to keep it neutral and braced, because you really don't want to place any extra stress on that very, very sensitive area. You're going to risk throwing it out or whatever. So you want to brace properly, but no, there's no reason. If you are going so deep into a hack squat that your butt wants to roll off the bottom of the pad, then you're going way too deep. But I'm not sure that's really what we're talking about here. Robert, anything to add or any thoughts in general?
Nope, you said everything. I mean, maintain the natural arch in your low back. Don't force it one way or the other, because that's when you set yourself on the path to potential injury.
One thing, I made a video about this years ago. You'll see some people that turn the squat into a series of steps rather than a natural movement. And one of the things you would see is like somebody would be in the squat position and then they would move their hips back. They'd get a slight hyperextension inward of their lower back, and then they would squat. It'd be like a real mechanical step-by-step, like move your hips back, get a hyperextension, squat down, come up, hips forward. I mean,
yeah,
that stuff drives me crazy, but I'm not sure if that's kind of where this is growing from. Keep happy. I did abs for 5 minutes this morning. I do not know how you managed to get your abs done in under 6 minutes. Robert, did you see the channel yesterday by any chance on Massive Iron?
Yeah.
Like, I woke up yesterday and I'm lying in bed with my beautiful wife and realizing I'm the luckiest man in the world, and it comes on my feed on YouTube. I just checked to see how my how my video was going from the previous day, and it says 6 minute abs. It's like, I really didn't realize people struggle to get in an ab workout in under 7 minutes. I didn't realize it was like, how do I possibly get an ab workout done in only 6 minutes? This is a complex problem. I mean, is that a question you've ever asked yourself, Robert? Like, did you ever wake up and go, how is it possible that someone could get an ab workout done in under 7 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder where people come up with the names of these things or something like that. There was another program a couple of years, like 10-minute trainer or 10-minute workouts or something like that. I'm thinking, I don't know. I guess it's playing on people's ever dwindling attention spans or something, or they want to get like the maximum amount of results for the least minuscule amount of effort to put in. And so I guess that's what all these companies are preying on.
You know what it really is here in case of Vince? Vince is a predator. And Vince preys upon people who think you need to do hours of ab work each week to get a six-pack. And Vince does not give a fuck about your results because Vince is a predator and the company he works for is a predator. And they perpetuate this nonsense to try to get you to buy their crap and their supplements and their programs. And they just prey on people. Like anybody that's reasonable knows, you don't need more than a 6-minute ab workout. You don't need more than a couple exercises a day. You don't need to live in the gym. It's not going to give you a six-pack. We all know that, like the experts do, right? So anyway,
Exactly.
Just predator crap. That's why everybody hates the guys. Venturing Lion. Gyms should never close. I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's sad, a reality, but the folks that generally are passing away from COVID are the folks that generally probably would pass away in the next year anyway. And I'm not saying, I'm not being cold. That's a statistical likelihood. And they are not going to gyms. And if you are close to one of these individuals in your life, then you should probably not try to not try to go to an orgy and then bring all those germs back, into the ICU unit.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of that. I feel like we're beating a dead, then I don't know. I got to get on the home gym train. I could not imagine having to worry about my gyms closing. I don't know, Robert. We keep adding pieces and pieces of the puzzle. All we have left is to add we found a horizontal leg press for $670, like one of those that.
Yeah. The squat press.
Yeah, and like we're gonna get that next, and we're absolutely done. There's nothing we need.
Yeah. Is it plate loaded, or is it like? Do you put the weight plates on it, or is it like a selectorized kind of thing?
I will see if I can find it real quick. Titan Fitness has been just rock star. It's not a horizontal leg press. I'm looking at the wrong. I was thinking about something else, but I'll share this with you nonetheless. Over at Titan Fitness, they have the sled, which is $1,000, right? Mm-hmm. And the stuff they sell is stuff I have in here, and it's really good quality for the price. Then they have a vertical leg press. I hate the vertical leg press. I'm not sure if you've ever used it, Robert, but loading the plates from the top is just bullshit. I mean, I smash my fingers every time. Well, why they're not side loaded is beyond me. But then they have this bad boy. And it's a hack squat machine. But it's kind of, it's not a pure hack machine.
No, I've seen Jeff Alberts at 3D Muscle Journey has one that's like that. It's a little bit older school looking. Like you can tell the thing's like 30 or 40 years old, but it's that same kind of 45-degree hack squat leg press, kind of like that. I would love to get a machine like that. Those things look awesome.
Yeah, I mean, after I get this, I'm done with my home. There's no reason for me ever to go back to a commercial gym, and I'm good with that. I really am. The problem with a home gym is when you don't invest and have enough equipment. And what I've found is, even during the pandemic and all the closures, I've spent tops $5,000 on my gym, and I got everything I need, and I got 2 ellipticals. So,
would you ever think about getting one of those cable stations? That you kind of see in like the hotel gyms where it's got like it's like a flat wall where kind of the pull-up bar is, and then it kind of angles out to the sides like that, and it's got a cable thing on each side. Would you ever consider doing one of those?
Alan has one. I just got a standalone single station because I had the cable pulley station for the squat rack.
Yeah.
And those are extremely limiting and tedious, and they're more frustrating than they are beneficial. So I got the lat pull down seated cable row station. So now I can do lat pull seated cable rows, and I can do, low cable curls. I can do cable crossovers, from the low or high station.
Yeah.
That's enough for me. I think you could spend a couple $100 extra and get that type of station. And if I had the room, I might.
Yeah. I think they're like $2,000, $1,800 to $2,000, I think is what I've seen most of them for.
I'm not sure what Alan's was. Let me see if Titan has it. We're sorry to derail you guys, but yeah. All right, so I'm going to pull this up. Titan Fitness has a couple, and they got this cable crossover whole machine unit for $459.
I'm talking about the one all the way on the right hand side.
Yeah.
Is what I was talking about.
And then you got the plate loaded functional trainer. This is plate loaded, and this is stack loaded. So the stack where the weights were built into the thing is $2,000.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
And if you load the plates, you save a lot of bones, but you got to buy the plates. So
yeah, and that's probably as hard as finding stuff. I mean, that's impossible to still find plates for some reason.
But all things said, you can. I mean, $10,000 for a home gym for a really fitness nut who's going to use it for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
We spend so much more on our cars or, wasting money on shit like this. I don't know. What do we got here? Let's move on and get rolling with the questions. High frequency advocates like to refer to the silver era guys who would have made gains on any program. But how well did the average Joe do on these full body programs back then? Is there any data? That's a very good question. I would imagine the same as anybody does on anything these days. I mean, it's funny. I made a video about 70s training this week, and everybody's not everybody, but a couple guys were like, man, you always talk about 70s training. And like, I never talk about 70s training. They were just thought I had some agenda because I made a video about it. But 50s training, 60s training, 70s training, I don't care. These guys worked hard, right? They worked hard. Dorian worked hard. All the guys worked hard. The 50s guys, from what I can tell, and I've read enough on them, their workouts would last 2.5 hours, 3 hours, sometimes 3.5 hours. I remember Doug Hepburn drinking milk in between sets and resting like 10 minutes in between sets and stuff like that. I mean, these guys would work hard and long, right? Yeah. So one thing the high frequency advocates miss is that big picture. Like 70s era guys like Arnold doing the 6 times a week with basically taking a full body work and splitting it into 2 workouts a week. Or the 50s era guys, these guys were working way harder than any of us.
Yeah.
Whether that's good or bad for the body in the long run, that's another story. But that's the big picture that a lot of these guys miss. And the average Joe, whatever era it is not working nearly hard enough to get the results they want. That's the bottom line. Anything to add to that, Robert?
Nope. You got that, Steve.
Doing shoulders a day after chest, not a fan at all. Not a fan. Because they involve a lot of the same muscle groups and movement patterns, and you can be overworking like the triceps and the front delts and things like that. Generally not a good idea. So I prefer to have a couple days of rest in between those sessions. So, Robert, do you see any other reason why it would make sense to do shoulders after chest?
No. I mean, because your anterior delts are going to be involved with basically any kind of chest exercise that you're going to be like any kind of pressing exercise, whether it's an incline press, a horizontal press, a decline press, a dip. Your anterior delt's going to be doing that. So maybe I could see an argument for wanting to do you don't have enough left in the gas tank after you're doing all of those movements to do like your side laterals and your face pulls, your rear delt flies, all of that stuff. But then just throw that shit on back day or do it on a separate day. But don't do shoulders right after chest. I just give this joint a day break or something.
To be honest with you, I don't even like push-pull legs workouts because, on the surface, and this is down a rabbit trail, but on the surface it sounds nice and tidy, right? Push-pull legs. Mm-hmm. It sounds like a wonderful fairy tale. But, the pull part, the push part, you're running into a problem. You can get in a good legs workout. You can get in a good push workout or pull workout. But when you get into the push, you got shoulders, which command attention. You got chest, which commands attention. And those are two big hitters squeezed into the same tube of toothpaste. Now, I mean, honestly, at that point, you might as well just do a full body split 4 days a week.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do that, chest and shoulders are spaced apart. So, but I've never in all my years of programming, and I'm a programming nut, seen anybody at all program shoulders after chest.
No, it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
Cheers, Stan. Appreciate it. Baptiste, is it normal that my back curves at the bottom of the middle of the deadlift? The bottom of the motion. No. Something's broken in your form. And you need somebody like me to take a look at it. There's something going on. Your head's too far over the bar. You're not getting your weight on your heels. You're not loading your hips, your glutes. There's so many common mistakes that lead to this. The grip and rip type of shit on the deadlift, where people are trying to yank the bar off the ground. That's actually not the way you should perform a deadlift. I'm sorry to break your fairy tale, but a deadlift should be more focused on standing up, working with the body's natural tendencies. And it's okay to be slower off the ground on the deadlift, because if you get that groove right, you're going to have more leverages off the ground and you'll actually be better during lockout. And, it's funny, Robert, I see a lot of power lifters on my feed on Instagram, and guys that I actually used to train at the same gym with me that I respect, that have good numbers, but their form is like, just not good.
No.
Arut, hey guys, excited to hear about your new business venture. Best of luck. Thank you. We appreciate it. Slim 56. When I was very lean, back in the old days, before I took an arrow to the knee, all I did was lose strength. I'm just being a smart ass, right? Until I increased calories. Then the strength started to come back. This is a very common thing, especially with pressing movements. One thing I know from coaching folks is that when you are under eating calories, there's so many strength headaches. It plays with your mind. All right, you guys, we're on for get your questions in now. If you have any supplement questions, squeeze them in now. Scotty Mack, I've added more oily fish to my diet for healthy fats and protein. Just trying to mix up the colors of meat as they are concerned about too much red. Your thoughts? Now, Robert, that's a good question. We talk about mixing up the colors of fruits and vegetables as a stupid, simple method of mixing up micronutrient quantity. Is there any validity when it comes to protein sources?
No, I mean, sometimes people develop sensitivities or intolerances to proteins if they're just crushing it. Like you'll hear John Meadows or some of these like the IFBB Pro guys say, hey, I did an entire prep eating nothing but egg whites, and now they can't handle egg whites, like it's just torn their stomachs up. Or the same thing with chicken or tilapia or something like that. That's kind of you're forcing too much into the system. I mean, I've eaten chicken every day of my life for lunch, sometimes twice a day for over 10 years now. I still tolerate chicken really well. I'm not eating the quantities these guys are, and again, it's going to be highly individual. Scotty Mac, I would not be concerned about red meat. A lot of the research that is made on red meat is a lot of epidemiological studies, and it's not talking about high quality red meat. Like you go buy a steak from the store, you grill it yourself, or you broil it, you sear it, whatever. It's talking about hyper processed, like cured meats, like your pepperonis, your sausages, hot dogs, those kind of things, and all the shitty things you get from McDonald's. That's where the red meat concerns are coming from. It's if you're buying like really just high quality meat, like 90-10, 93-7 grinded beef, sirloin, ribeye, filet, you're doing those and you're cooking them yourself, you really don't have any concerns about red meat at all whatsoever. And red meat is one of the most nutrient dense good high quality sources of protein you can have, period. End of story.
Now, I like to mix up my protein sources just for variety because, you'll go crazy. I mean, we do shrimp, we do steelhead trout, we do salmon, we do crab cakes. I don't do a lot of whitefish because I don't care for them much. Pork, beef, chicken, buffalo wings, that aren't, nasty. You mix it up just for variety's sake.
Yeah.
is if I want to specifically improve my cycling performance, will heavy squats help me? There's people tend to get into really serious discussions about this. Like if I give advice about general strength training for athletes, somebody out there is going to come after me, but I'm going to do it anyway. Having a basic strength base is beneficial in nearly every sport.
Yep.
Nearly every sport. And I would even say that it's beneficial even in sports that don't recognize it as being beneficial, like ultra running. I see guys out on the have a good basic strength and muscle level. They're not bodybuilders, but I can tell they lift. And they perform just as well as the skinny guys on ultra running. I'm not saying sports specific at Olympic level, trying to win the 10K world record, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think a base strength level is good for nearly every sport. Would you agree or disagree, Rob?
I would absolutely agree.
What downsides are there? There's a couple sports out there that it might not matter.
No, but I mean, even like sports where like you're restricted to a weight class, like gymnastics, wrestling, or something, you want to maximize your strength to weight ratio. So having a good level of strength and being able to maximize your level of strength for that weight class that you're in, regardless of the sport, is going to make you a more effective, better competitor and an athlete.
All right, Sebastian, and we should not confuse a base level of strength with a sports-specific type of training that could improve strength endurance or whatever.
Correct.
My flat bench is stuck at 95 by 8. Probably not stuck. You're going to get the Big Hairy Ugly Dude lecture. 100, but I normally push. Okay. Let's break out the old calculator. We mentioned earlier that at the level you're at, adding 1 to 2 reps a month would add 5 to 8 pounds to your max a month, right? 1 rep. 2 would add 10 to 15 pounds to your max a month. So at your level, adding 5 reps a year, that would increase your max by 30 pounds. That'd be okay, right? So we're going to break out the calculator. I don't, when people tell me stuck, I don't believe they're stuck. I believe they just have. So, Robert, your head disappeared on mine. We're going to go with kilograms here. So he's saying 95 by 8. And that is 118 kilograms. And according to the RepMax calculator, I should get 6 on 100. So 95 by 8 is 118. 100 by 6 is 116. So yeah, it's fair. That's fair. Okay. According to the calculators, I should be able and get 6 on next weight on the. But no, here's the issue. When you're fresh, those will be equal. But when you're not fresh, you can't expect the second set to be as strong as the first. Okay. So the second set has to be treated as a separate entity. It's not equatable to the first set. You're always going to see a decrease in performance, a decay in performance on the second and third set. That's there's no way around it unless you exaggerate the rest between sets, and then you're not really doing a workout. Then your goal is just to match the performance of the first. So you're not doing anything wrong. You just need to treat the second set as a separate entity. Batiste, hi, Big Hairy Ugly Dude. I do 2 workouts per week where I stretch all the muscles. Is this useful for muscle growth? Not in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it's not. Whether you like it is another story, but stretching does nothing for hypertrophy. Robert, am I missing anything?
There is some research showing that loaded stretching can act as a way to increase hypertrophy, but we're talking about something where, I mean, it's basically doing like a an overcoming isometric thing where say you're doing like a pec deck, and you can adjust the resistance on the cam to where it's keeping you in that stretched position. You are trying to force your way forward, and it's creating this intense stretch on there. I mean, that's a part of, I think, DC training and fortitude training by Dr. Scott Stevenson. And you know, that basically all it does is it puts constant tension across these muscle fibers in the maximally stretched position, which induces a bunch of metabolites to build up in there. So it could be more or less the same thing as you're doing, is if you're doing higher rep working sets, you're getting that accumulation of metabolites, which can act as an independent signal of muscle hypertrophy. But if you're talking like the regular stretching you used to do in gym class, that's not going to do anything for muscle growth. These things have to be like very heavy weights that are pulling your muscles apart kind of thing. Just doing like regular stretching, static stretching, no, that's not going to do anything for muscle growth.
So I appreciate you guys' questions, and we got a lot to go. So Robert, let's try to tighten our shot group a little bit. I'll try to ramble a little bit less so we can get through these. But guys, just, don't hesitate to tune back in and watch us later, because we do get to every question. Nigel, Robert, thank you for pointing out that dumbbell RDL should be done fairly heavy. When I was going to the commercial gym, I lost count of the 200-pound guys doing RDLs with 20, 30-pound dumbbells. That's not really beneficial anyway. You hardly get any stretch at all.
Yeah. But don't be, that's a thing with leg training and dumbbells and single leg work. People vastly underestimate how effective it can be. You just got to sack up and, get after it.
Sackup.com. All right. Evernew 23. To week 6, going great so far, and I want to stick with it for a whole year and see how it goes. I think we missed the first part of this question. Somehow it didn't post, so maybe post it up again. Christian, I'm stuck at home with a barbell and 100 kg. Would you go for high rep back squats for leg size? Absolutely. I'd also do supersets. If I were you, 20 rep squats can be a bear. So, Robert, I'm going to give you my quick solution. I would probably do supersets or trisets. You could start with a set of 15 to 20 rep squats, and then maybe do lunges and then superset with squats, or body weight squats and superset with squats, or do squats and superset with lunges, or squats and superset with like 100 reps of body weight squats. So I would get beyond multiple sets of back squats and do some superset action. How about you, Robert?
Yeah, you could do that, or you could start working your way to a supported Bulgarian split squat. So I'm assuming you have a power rack since you've got the bar and everything. You can put the bar across your back, or you can do Bulgarian split squats either with the front rack position or that. Put your leg up on the bench behind you. You can do them out that way, or I like the back squat walking lunge combo. Do your 15 and 20 rep sets for squats. Dump the bar and immediately go into 15 to 20 reps per leg of walking lunges, and that'll leave you looking like a baby giraffe.
All right, thanks, Robert. What do we got from Justin? Is there such a thing as only deloading for legs and not upper body? Yeah, there is. Yeah. I tell people to keep their deloads intuitive. Take extra rest days, not planning rest weeks when you feel beat up, worn down, have a muscle strain, pain. This is something I deal with my clients a lot. Like, not everything is toast at the same time. Sometimes you need to take it lighter on the upper body while your legs are going full speed. So in a case-by-case basis, unless you feel like total cumulative fatigue where you're like, man, I'm just tired and my whole body feels wrecked, then you need a few days away from the gym, obviously, from everything. But if your lower body's feeling fresh and your upper body's feeling toast, then just listen to it and adjust. Carlos, I'm starting to see things a little differently now. There's been no real studies on full body routines being better than bro splits, has there? Well, the main thing, Robert, was that we were beaten to death with, and correct me if I'm wrong, was muscle protein synthesis increase with frequency training. That was like the card that kept getting played. And I would say over and over again, that's not the only card, kids. That's not the only card. So are there any major cards, Robert, that I'm missing?
No. And it's like there's that meta-analysis you and I made the video on that we're talking about average people here, even up to, the biggest, most ripped dudes on the planet have gotten really big following the traditional bro split, or the pro split, as Fuad likes to call it. It's, provided that volume is equated, and that's where a lot of these frequency studies, like whole body training routine studies, have shown benefit over the single exposure during the week, is that the volume was not equated. But when volume is equated, you're seeing similar results in hypertrophy from following the 1 time a week split versus training a muscle group, 2 or 3 times a week.
Thanks, Robert. Sorry, I was reading ahead on the questions. Robert needs a massive iron flag behind him. I'm not sure your wife would approve of that in the dining room. Maybe in the bedroom above the bed would be a better place.
Yeah. Well, this is our spare bedroom that I'm set up in here. But if you look at all the walls in our houses, with the exception of like the den, where there's a couple of pictures of me or Sandy or us with the halfling, all of the walls in our house are bare. We are very minimal people with like that. We don't like a lot of shit on the walls or decorations or useless knickknack stuff. We've got a few of our LSU pictures from when we were in Tiger Band in the trumpet section, and that's about it. Yeah.
Adrian, I have genetically huge legs, but since I started training, I can only squat a bit more than my body weight. Should I just stop progressing the weight and go for higher reps? No. I mean, there's no reason to stop progression unless you want to stop growth. If you want to stop growth, then stop progression. If you're happy with your leg size, then maintenance is easy. Just use a reasonable weight for a reasonable rep range and don't progress. Brendan, in your experience, how strong does the average lifter get on bench press? I mean, that's a hard question to answer. Sorry to give you guys a raspberry, but the average person that comes and goes out of the gym, I don't really think they ever get more than 155 for 5, really. The average person, like, there's so many that come and go out of the gym and so many that screw off. Maybe 185 by 5 is probably like what I would 155 by 5 to 185 by 5 is average. I mean, would anybody agree, disagree? Below that, they're probably pretty new in the gym. I don't know. Have you ever watched Perfume, Old Boy, or Predestination? No, I don't think I have. Predestination sounds familiar. Robert, how about you?
I've never heard of any of those movies. That probably makes me a bad person, but I've never heard of any of those 3 movies.
Predestination's a sci-fi action movie.
I would assume so by the title.
Yeah, no, I've not watched any of those.
Mm-mm.
I don't mind odd movies, but that'll give me something to look for tonight. I have huge. Oh, okay, we just went over that. Sorry. Hey guys, I can train first thing in the morning at 5:30. I never fancy food. What are your thoughts on fasted training? Absolutely fine. I would say if you start to bonk during your workouts, which means like you feel like a deflated balloon halfway through, it might be a good idea to get something like a honey stinger, which you can get on Amazon. There's these little packs of like gummies that are 120 calories, and some of them have caffeine. So you could chomp those before you start your workout, or chomp them 15 minutes into your workout to help from bonking. But as long as you feel fine, let it rip.
Yeah, I did that for many years when I was still working in engineering. I'd wake up at 5 in the morning, start training around 5:20, 5:30, be done by 6:30, and then shower and then hit the road. Your body, if it's some people can do it. Like I work out just fine on training fasted. My wife doesn't; she can't stand it. So see how your body reacts, and it's going to take you. If you've never done it before, it's going to take probably a week or 2 for your body to acclimate, and you can always use some kind of intro workout if you think you need it to.
There's a lot of misinformation, hype, and whatnot when it comes to fasted training. It's neither magical or detrimental.
Correct.
Overall, you just need to look at your daily calorie intake and adjust the workout to what you like. If you are bonking during your workout, whatever time of the day it is, then I'm really big in honey stingers, and I'm not sure if you're aware of what they are, Robert, but a honey stinger is it's basically something the runners use a lot, but I believe it's like 130 calories. And here we go. I think we got it at the old. That's the waffles. We don't want that crap. Let me just screen share here for a moment. They're the ones right here. Whoops. These guys right here, the chews. Some of them have caffeine, some of them don't. They're really much easier to down than they're like a really, really super soft gummy. And you can either take them 15 minutes before a long workout or 15 minutes into a long workout, and they'll kind of give you a little bit of quick energy.
Yeah.
And I find during long runs that I don't tend to bonk when and this would be applicable for a long workout or even a morning workout. They sit well in your stomach. They're easy to digest, and they're not super expensive. So definitely something to think about if you find yourself just not wanting to pound a carbo shake during your workout.
Cool.
Park McLean. Park is a new insider. Thank you for joining, Park. Just wanted to say hey, and sorry I missed your last show, Robert.
It's all good. Yeah, we've moved the weekly Wednesday happy hour Q&As with Sandy. Moved from Wednesdays to Thursdays now because she started online PhD classes for her math education doctorate. So that's they'll be from now on for Thursday afternoons.
Paladin, do you guys train your rotator cuffs? Nope, never even thought about it. I know a lot of guys do prehab, rehab, all that kind of stuff for rotators. I do not. I'll give you my opinion. I'll let Robert jump in. There's so many things you can tack onto a workout: prehab, rehab, foam rolling, dynamic stretching. You got your 5-minute warm up, to get the body temperature up, all this kind of stuff, right? I don't have time for it. I just don't have time. Like there's 17 different things you can attach to a workout. And I'm not saying they don't have value for the individual, but I simply don't have time for all that stuff. How about you, Robert?
Yeah, I think I've started to shorten my amount of time. Like it used to be a 2-hour ordeal. Like I'd sip on my pre-workout for 15 to 20 minutes, and then I would do a really elongated warm-up that had foam rolling in it and some dynamic mobility exercises, and then get to the workout and then do like another 10 or 15 minute cool down and stretch. And it's fun. I enjoy doing it. I like long workouts, but like the past year or so, I've been trying to find ways to like condense, which I've really been enjoying, like bulldozer training or block training for a lot of my training as of late. It's just you go through ebbs and flows of stuff. I've never specifically done rotator cuff exercises just because the movements I would do into my workout get my whole shoulder complex and everything, my upper body primed, so I don't need to just specifically work on that.
I will say, Paladin, that I spent 10 years as a catcher tossing a ball a lot. And when I wasn't doing that, I was playing strikeout. We'd go over to the school building with a concrete wall and we'd play baseball, pitcher, catcher, or pitcher and a batter. And during the summer, I'd probably throw like 7,000 innings. I mean, literally, till your arm is completely noodled, and then you'd go back and throw another game at night. If I was the old me, back in the day, I'd probably do it, and I'd be a little bit smarter. But, I'm already a broke dick old soldier, held together with duct tape and wishful thinking. So, I'm beyond that. Let's just put it that way. Alberto, any recommendations for hip impingement issues? Well, we don't get too many. Most of the questions are shoulder impingement. I
have hip impingement. I have femoral acetabular impingement, FAI. Went and saw a doctor. Yeah, I saw a doctor in Minneapolis about it. He was actually the team doctor for the Vikings. It's basically like when the head of your femur is starting to grind into it. And so I have a torn labrum in my right hip and then a partially torn labrum in my my left hip, which he said a lot of pro athletes and a lot of the population in general has a torn labrum in their hip. It just never bothers them. So for hip impingement issues, go get checked out by some kind of osteopath or a physical therapist or something. That's where my recommendation to start is, and then they can recommend whether they need to scope it or do any other kind of surgery, or maybe that you can just work your way through the issues with PT. And you may not be able to do any bilateral squatting for a while or ever after that, just because of the way it's grinding your hips, and which makes single leg work a big win.
All right, I think we have someone trying to accuse me of something. Is that how I read this? Massive Iron Manliness is on Gears of War. What's is on Gears of War?
Gears of War? Gears of War is a video game. I know that, but
No, but are they trying to? Is Henry? Are you saying Mr. Massive Iron Manliness is on Gear, or is on Gears of War? But if it's an opinion, it's not about Massive Iron. You manliness level is definitely on the level of Gears of War. Oh, okay.
There we go.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to be dismissive or so many people make comments on the channel that he's a steroid abuser. Yes, I go home and take 1,000 milligrams of injectables each night and then 4 pills of Dianabol. I
think that's Doucette. What? All right. Next question.
No, but that's kind of what I thought at first, Henry. But I appreciate that. Thank you. That's a compliment, and I definitely appreciate that. I misread it at first because I thought you meant thought it was a gear accusation. Using rest pause training, how many rest pause should I use per set, and how many sets of rest pause? This is a very good question, and some of it's intuitive. Rest pause, the bulldozer system is basically starts at 15 to 30 seconds of rest, depending on, what muscle, what exercise there is. So bench press, it might be best to start at. Robert, do you remember the old bulldozer training?
Of course. Yeah, it's got 5 mini sets in it.
For compounds, does it start at 30 seconds rest?
Yeah, 30 seconds and then 15 seconds for the smaller muscle groups, and it's 30, 45, and then goes up to 60 for some of the bigger exercises.
Yeah, so what I did with bulldozer training was I would take a compound movement and I would start with 30 seconds rest. And then I would kind of grow the rest as you picked up cumulative fatigue, which I enjoyed that style immensely because the deeper into this pattern you get to rest a little bit more, but you still got to keep going, right? So I would do 5 to 7 what I would call mini sets, which were sets that were structured into one exercise. So you do bench with 225, rest 30 seconds, bench with 225, rest 30 seconds, bench with 225, rest 45, maybe 60, maybe 75, maybe 90 or something like that.
Yep.
So the deeper into your gut, the more you would rest, but you would need it because you were picking up more and more fatigue. You would need it just so the reps didn't drop off in anything negligible. So there are many ways to do rest pause, but that's kind of how I would do it. If you're doing just rest pause training, like exclusively for an exercise, you could go as little as 3 what I call mini sets. If you just want to bounce around to a few different exercises, or if you want to make it meat and potatoes, you could do 5 to 7. 7 is generally 7 is going to be brutal, and if you're doing 7 per exercise, it's hard to squeeze in 4 exercises like that in a workout. What's your experience, Robert?
It's soul sucking. Like when I do the rest pause training or the bulldozer stuff, that is so I'll do certain I'll go through different phases where I'll get real into a good groove of bulldozer training or block training. And I've got to be real careful because I'm a person that likes to train a failure or past it. A lot of the times I'm not really good about, putting my foot on the brakes and doing that. Which is, I guess, good about some of the volume training stuff is that it makes you not train a failure because if you want to survive that way, you have to do that. But it's like you said, 4, if I'm doing 5 mini sets, 4, maybe 5 exercises, and then it's you're done, or I've got to do a different muscle group. You can't do 5 exercises.
Yeah.
For all the same muscle group. You're not going to do flat bench, incline bench, dips, push-ups, flies, you're going to be fucking toast if you try to do that. So it's 3, maybe 4 exercises, then move on to another muscle group. So 3 to 4 exercises for a major muscle group, and I would 1 to 2 for a small muscle group.
You really got to view things as a whole when you're piecing together rest pause programs. There's a lot I would change system now. If I was moving on to isolation exercises, I'd probably not just do straight bulldozer, I'd probably do supersets, or maybe work in some other options like drop sets or run the rack, depending on the equipment. Because like doing rest pause training over and over and over again through an entire workout is you need a break sometimes.
It's mentally draining. Like I would say it's almost more mentally draining than physically draining, and it wears the hell out of your muscles doing rest pause training for an entire workout. But like the mental grind of having to stay that locked in is it's intense. At least for me, it is. I find it's more draining mentally for me than like a higher volume routine is.
Yeah, I did bulldozer training or rest pause training for an entire year. I didn't set out and say I was going to do an experiment. I just came up with this system one day, bored in my dungeon. And I just started doing it because I liked it. Yeah. And I would only do 3 exercises. I would do 2 compounds for major muscle groups and 1 for like for triceps or whatever. And nothing made me more sore. It was not high volume. It was more like DC training. It was more low volume. But man, did I get sore from it? And you have more quality reps in that than most any other system out there. So I think it's time for me to revisit it a little bit. It's been almost over 10 years. What's going on, Chris? The best channel for muscle and power. Thank you, Ironheart. We sincerely appreciate it. Just try to be the best I can. Is ANS Performance Prophecy Ultimate Pre-Workout safe to take 1 scoop daily? There's a new one.
I haven't looked at any of ANS's stuff in a long time. Let me pull it up.
Just before you do, Ironheart just tuned in and said no chuckleberries allowed. It's funny. I've been using that word chuckleberry since I was a kid. I think I used to call my sisters a chuckleberry. But back to the ANS question.
Yeah, here, I'm going to do a screen share, and don't kick me off the channel this time, Steve.
I'll try my best.
Okay, all right. Go that. Okay. He's asking, can we take this every day? I'm typically like to rotate between a few different pre-workouts just because it helps kind of delay the pre-workouts tend to hit harder, I find, and they hit like the first time if you're rotating between 3 or 4 of them. That being said, could you take this every day? Yes, but do I recommend it? No, because are you really training 30 days straight? No. On your off days, I would, if you need some caffeine, just have an energy drink or some coffee or something. 6 grams of citrulline malate, 2 to 1, so you're getting 4 grams of L-citrulline. That's a quality dose. 3.2 beta-alanine, good. 2.5 of betaine, good. 2 grams of taurine, that's a solid dose. 1 gram of pico-2. That's like creatine and beta-alanine. You need to take it every day. The saturation dose on that is 28 grams, so you would not reach saturation of pico-2 by the time you run out of this container. So you need, 1 gram a day for 28 days, 2 grams a day for 14 days, 7 grams a day for 4 days, 4 grams a day for 7 days. So that's something to keep in mind. You're getting 1,000 milligrams of agmatine. That's another good dose. That's going to work well with the citrulline for nitric oxide support. 500 milligrams of tyrosine. That is on the low end. I would prefer at least 1 gram, preferably 2,000 milligrams or 2 grams of it. 400 caffeine is a potent dose. That's going to be kick the tires and light the fires. 300 choline, no, it's a less bioavailable form. It doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. It's got some liver health benefits, but not much for actual focus. Coconut water powder, that's window dressing. 150 milligrams of lion's mane. That's going to be an ingredient you need to take daily, and you need considerably more than that. 1 to 3 grams a day is what you kind of need for lion's mane. 125 milligrams of teacrine. It's a quality dose of that. I do like teacrine a lot. 50 milligrams of hordenine, that's the Hordeum vulgare seed extract. It's going to be giving hordenine, but we don't know the exact standardization of it, so it's kind of hard to quantify how much of that stimulant you're getting. It acts as an MAO inhibitor, which means it's going to prevent the breakdown of things like dopamine and norepinephrine, help contributing to longer lasting, more intense focus and euphoria. 5 milligrams of bioperin for enhanced nutrient absorption, and 50 micrograms of huperzine A, which is on the lower dose of huperzine dosing. Anywhere between 50 to 200 micrograms is good. and it's going to delay or inhibit the breakdown of acetylcholine by inhibiting acetylcholinesterase, which is going to, acetylcholine is the learning neurotransmitter in the brain. It's also involved with the mind-muscle connection, helps with learning, memory, focus, and those kind of things. So all in all, it's a well-dosed pre-workout. There's one or two things here that I wouldn't be super nuts about, but I wouldn't recommend taking the exact same pre-workout each and every day.
Thank you, Robert. We're going to skip along here so we can get through everything. How do you feel about using different weights on an exercise throughout sets? That's fine. And it's not to make general, this is not a rule, but generally you want to start with your heavy weight first, no matter what you do. You could pyramid up a little bit and then pyramid back down. So weight is relative, but you really don't want to do weight above your true 82.5% of your max unless it's your first set. That's a rule I would kind of say. If you're like doing 67.5% on the first set and then 72.5% and then 75% and then you're pyramiding back down in weight, that's fine. I wouldn't just do the super heavy above 80% stuff unless it's your first set. The gym's closed today in Saudi Arabia, broken heart. Any tips to minimize muscle loss at home to be 3 months? Look, muscle memory is a real thing. Just know that any muscle you did accrue will come back once you return to the gym because you already know how to train. You already know how to get to that level, and muscle memory is real. Just do the best you can with the equipment you have. And if you need help, join the Massive Iron Insider. I get tons of requests for help, and the best way to help is one-on-one. Do you guys do cardio? Yes, I'm training for my first 100-mile run, and I do generally about 5 hours of running, 5 to 7 hours of running per week. Robert, how about you?
Yeah, before the whole world went to hell in a handbasket in 2020, I would say I had like 1 or 2 dedicated days of cardio where it was basically I would be doing some kind of interval training or anything like that. But since, Sandy was starting to teach from home last year, we'd start going on walks. And so now I go on a walk. I don't necessarily know if I classify it as cardio. Just it's nice to get out and just walk, and I'll listen to a podcast or something instead of, sitting in front of my computer or TV or something. So I'll go walking at least, an hour a day. It's broken up. It's not for like 1 hour. Like I wake up at 7 and I'm walking till 8 or 8:30. It's, 10-minute walk here, 15, 20-minute walk here or there. And I still have 1 or 2 days a week, depending on how my recovery is and my sleep is, where I'll do some interval training.
Sorry, I was just removing some.
So, and before that, Taekwondo, I would have classified Taekwondo as a mix of skill and cardio stuff, depending on how our sessions were going.
Thanks, Robert. Hey, I'm just starting my journey, doing 100 push-ups, squats, and walking 10K per day. That's a lot of walking, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Walking each day is great for health. So if you can squeeze that in, let it rip. It's better than running 10K per day. While staying at 2,000 kcals, I want to lose 12 kilograms. Is that enough? That's more than enough. The push-ups and squats aren't really going to burn a lot of calories, but they're good for overall conditioning. Walking 10K a day and keeping your calories at 2,000 kcals, that's reasonable, right? And that's a good lifestyle habit. What I would tell you is that you need a plan for once you lose the weight, because the plan shouldn't be to stop walking and just to raise calories, right? So that's a lot of activity. That alone would probably contribute to you losing weight over time. Just make sure you get in a couple of rest days. Anything to add to that, Robert?
Nope. Yeah, you said everything.
Thanks for explaining greens. Thank you, Robert, again.
And I'll say this will be a shameless plug. Coming up in March, I'm going to have Dr. Gabrielle Fundaro on the podcast. She's kind of one of the leading experts on all things microbiome, gut health, and we're going to have an extensive conversation about probiotics and greens powders on the podcast, so stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. Scotty Mack, ectomorph, xenomorph. I'd prefer to be a xenomorph, but I think he's referring to Doucette's. Slim says, I don't take Greg seriously. For those of you tuning in late, and we're not bashing on Greg Doucette, but he made a video about supplements for ectomorphs, and he basically mentioned testosterone. I don't take Greg seriously. He's for entertainment. Unfortunately, he whatever. How many sets of every exercise should you do to failure? Here comes the failure spiel. Every exercise is different. There's no blanket way to say you should or shouldn't train every exercise to failure. Every exercise is unique. For example, you can't take squats to failure or deadlifts to failure without paying the price. They're very physically demanding, whereas bench press is much easier to take to failure. So failure is not a goal. It should not be the prime goal. If you want to take some sets harder, you push them for as many reps as possible, stopping that set when you feel like you're going to fail on the next rep or when your form wants to break down. That way you're getting the most out of a set, maximal amount of muscle fiber recruitment, etc. Anybody that's telling you to train everything to failure or never train to failure does not understand lifting at all. And I will plant that flag in the ground and stand firm by it. And if you're going to come at me about that, they don't. They really don't. Every exercise is different. The demands of every exercise is different. Robert, name an exercise that it's easy to train to failure to. Barbell rows? Curls. What's that?
Bicep curls.
Yep. Barbell
Push-ups.
rows. Yeah. I mean, barbell rows, your speed starts to slow down. You reach mechanical failure and you're not pounding your body, right?
Right.
Whereas deadlifts, if you reach mechanical failure, your back is probably going to be jacked up.
Agreed. Squats, barbell squats, no, you don't want to go failure on that.
So it's confusing because people don't understand training. Philo says, I'm a serial killer as long as the milk is cold. Man, back in the day, I would what was a graham cracker cereal? Oh, man, I can't even remember.
Not honeycomb. Teddy Grahams, no.
No, not Teddy Grahams. Those are crackers. I can't even remember. Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Yeah, those are good. I like that. I think you're thinking of something else, but yeah, Cinnamon Toast Crunch is awesome.
Steak pie or chicken pie? Man, what I would do is I would have both with a lot of Frank's Red Hot. Robert?
What the hell is steak pie and chicken pie?
I don't know. But if I'm having a steak pot pie or a chicken pot pie, I'm going to have them both mashed together with a lot of Frank's Red Hot.
Maybe that's what he meant. I don't know. Sandy likes pot pies. I think they're overrated. I'm not a big pot pie guy.
All right. I'm 37 and train heavy with high volume. As I get into my 40s, how do I change my routine for long-term health? Well, once you reach the point where you're happy with your muscle, it's easy to maintain muscle. What I do is I no longer train above 275 pounds. On bench, for example, I do 225 for multiple sets of 10. So I'm still maintaining my overall strength and I'm maintaining my muscle mass. I'm just not really working above 65% of my one rep max anymore. So that's one stupid, simple way. Just drop the weight and perform volume. Lindsay, why are abs just brutal to train? They're a small muscle group, and a lot of people do a lot of volume, unnecessary volume on it to the point where they bring the pain. I don't find them painful. I just find it tedious because I think it's tedious because so many people are infatuated with it and they overwork it. There's really no need to overwork an ab muscle, is there, Robert?
No, but they can handle a lot of volume just because there's a lot of endurance fibers in there. So it's just, if you're not used to doing higher rep stuff for longer times under tension, then it's going to be really painful to do it.
All right, Arnav, why is a stronger muscle a bigger muscle? Arnav, I'm gonna turn that around, and we're gonna turn this into a logic puzzle. Why is a weaker muscle a smaller muscle? Logically, a weaker muscle is going to be a smaller muscle. The unit is not as powerful, right? The unit has not been conditioned. The unit has not been built up like a car engine. It has no potential for power. It's not structured or built that way. A stronger muscle, on the other hand, why is a stronger muscle a bigger muscle? A bigger muscle creates the potential for more horsepower, if you will, more power output, more strength. And strength and muscle are different things in the sense that there are more variables for strength building than there are for muscle building. Muscle building, you have natural physiological limits. You can't change them. But with strength, like once you get to your natural physiological limit on muscle building, you're pretty much done. But on strength, you can improve your leverages, your form, you can improve your joint strength. There's many, many things you can do, right? You can improve your strategy, assistance exercises. There's many things you can do to continue to squeeze out strength. So in that sense, you can continue to build strength where it's harder to continue to build muscle because you reach a physiological. But you have to beef up the engine at some point to have to improve performance. Robert, anything to add to that?
No, you said it all, Steve.
Hold on. Stop licking your ass. Once every live video, my dog has to be warned. Have you looked at VersaGrip Extremes? You're the second person this week to mention VersaGrips Extreme to me, and I didn't even know they were a thing. I didn't even know why you would need an Extreme, and I'm pulling them up now if my internet works. I don't even know what the difference is between the Extremes and Pros. Pros have a longer flap, and the Pros just make it easier to grip. Maybe the Extremes are a little bit longer. The Pros, there's only really one exercise on the Pros where I have trouble gripping with two hands, and that's like inverted rows or pull-ups. If I get one in, sometimes I can't get the other one in. But I think that would be that would be the same problem with Extreme. So I'm not sure. I have to do some research. As a beginner with 6 months of training, I can squat 620 or 225 for 5 or 6 reps, but don't have leg press. So should I do leg press or focus on squats? The more exercises, the better. That's what the recent studies, that's what the meta-analysis or current information is pointing to. The more exercises is generally better than one exercise. That's one reason, not all the reasons. One reason why you see the squat-only minimalistic crowd, like, oh, my quads aren't growing. Well, why don't you try a few other exercises other than squats? Robert, we've talked about this research before in this last month. Anything to add to that discussion?
No, I mean, I don't think you need to abandon one if you're not doing the other. You can add both in there.
Do both. The answer is always do both.
Yeah, do both for overall leg development. Plus, where you avoid overuse injuries and emphasizing the muscle at different regions to get better overall quad and glute development. I'm
really a big fan of hack squats, but a lot of gyms for some reason do not have hack squat machines. Park, thank you for donating $2 to Robert's drinking fund. I'll pass that along to Robert. We appreciate that. Actually, every dollar you guys donate is going to go straight into the funding of the Massive Iron Supplements. Massive Iron Supplements. So thank you. Priscilla, add a weight to the bar to progress and I lose a rep or two. That's normal. It was less than the week prior to me adding weight. That's absolutely normal. Add weight, reps go down. Fight up, back up on reps, then add weight, reps go down. That's how the process works. That's just simple math. Like if you do 100 by 7 on an exercise, that's going to equate to a specific 1 rep max. If you bump up to 105, it's going to lower the reps to have an equatable 1 rep max. So that's just normal math. Nothing to panic about. I made a video about this a while back. Sebastian, a friend of mine's sister, is training legs 4 sets twice a week, and she's got her squats up to 90 kilograms. Should this even be possible? Yeah, I've trained probably 4 or 5 women who are squatting 275 to 315 in under a year. Is my 4 working sets every second day a waste? No, it's not a waste at all. If you're not getting the results she's getting, then we really need to break it down and look at your diet and, what's up here. Where's your drive at? How bad do you want it? There's so many variables. And if she has naturally big legs, I've trained with women that have naturally big legs that are just machines. Robert, best Costco protein powder. I do not shop at Costco. Do you?
No, I can pull up something and see. Let me see what they got. Let me look through their protein powders real quick.
I had a Sam's Club membership, and I didn't find the value there, so I jumped ship. Looks like we got ISO 100, Gold Standard Whey, Vega Sports, Muscle Farm Combat Powders. Muscle Farm's still around.
I would not. The same reason for Muscle Tech that I said earlier. Muscle Farm may have cleaned up their act, but they got busted for doing some shady shit with their protein a while back. I'm only seeing 11 things pop up for the protein powder right here. Either Optimum or Dymatize. If you can go anywhere else, there are so many deals for protein powder. If you can go somewhere else for your protein, possibly, I would recommend that. Check out fitnessdealnews.com. Fitnessdealnews.com. I don't make any money off of that, but that is a repository of deals on protein powder and cheap stuff. So,
yeah, I see Dymatize and Optimum. Whenever you see those in the mix, I would gravitate towards them before whatever other brands that I'm not aware of. Greg Duvier, can't wait to see your guys' BCAAs and glutamine supplements. That will not be happening.
Yep, and lots of arginine too.
Won't be happening. We're only going to be putting out products we actually use and believe in.
Oh, wait, Steve, testosterone's a supplement, isn't it?
Yep, we'll be selling testosterone in the store. Just kidding. Hey, Robert, I take Power Packs by Trace Minerals with creatine every morning. Is that okay, or should I separate them?
No, there's no issue with taking those two together. What I will say is that they use some crappy forms of their minerals, like the cyanocobalamin is a bad form. The zinc oxide is poor bioavailability. Magnesium oxide is poor bioavailability. Taking them together is absolutely fine. It's an electrolyte formula. I would not take this close to your workout, though. Keep happy. It's got 1,200 milligrams of vitamin C, which is a very powerful antioxidant. And there is research to show that taking super high doses of antioxidants, like 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C or E before training, actually impairs the beneficial training adaptations induced by resistance training or other forms of intense exercise. So it's reduced adaptations for VO2 max, power, strength increases, and things like that. So if you want to take it with your trace minerals with your creatine, fine. Just keep it like 3 hours away from when you're training.
So I was just preparing for a upcoming question. All right, the next one, Julian, the guy who did 50 Ironmans races in 50 states in 50 days, did a lot of weight training. I believe there's a documentary on Amazon about him, and I know it's a shitty picture. You have to look close, but the guy doesn't exactly look like a frail chicken, right?
Yeah.
He definitely looks like he lifts. So thanks for pointing that out, Julian. Over 50 strength and skill. I'm looking forward to the new supplement you'll be offering, hopefully sooner than later. It will definitely be sooner. We found a company that's ready to roll. I'm on it with graphic design. We started the corporation this week. Robert and I are in on that. And we are probably going to be using some pre-selling to get additional products rolling. The creatine product is going to come out first, because if we can't sell creatine, we got no business selling a pre-workout. So look forward to it. And it's not just going to be another creatine product. It's going to be a little bit more advanced and no bullshit. Hi, how are you guys? We're doing great. And Marina, best supplements for naturals for overall health and longevity. Excuse me, Robert.
Creatine, multivitamin, fish oil. Those are the three right there for health and longevity. Some other stuff you want to put in there. Grape seed extract might be beneficial. Olive leaf extract could be also good. Collagen peptides could be good for overall joint support and whatnot. Berberine I like berberine a lot just for its glucose disposal properties, and it's also got some kind of cool anti-aging effects. Betane's good. It's a derivative of choline. If you can get CDP choline too, that's good because most people don't get enough choline in their diet. Plays a very important role in overall brain function and health. Bacopa monieri and lion's mane for long-term cognitive function and memory enhancement. Yeah, I think that's a good 7 or 8 right there.
Thanks, Robert. All right, what do we got here? We're almost at the end of the road. Straight sets, 4x10. With every set, you go closer to failure until the last set where it's usually to failure, versus dropping reps, where you're close to failure in every set. If I had to take a pick, it'd definitely be number 2 because you are getting more out of each set.
Yeah.
Number 1, you're basically just slowly building cumulative fatigue, and then then you explode like a fireball. But if you have progression built into number 1, like for my clients, a lot of them will do the same weight on each. They'll do the same weight for each set of an exercise, like 10s, 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 and then the last set they'll do max reps. But on the last set, we'll use that as a guiding point for progress. Doing failure, near failure on every set is physically demanding. And once you've built up a strength base, it's tough to do. You pretty much have to drop the volume a little bit so you don't get beat up. So anything to add to that, Robert?
No, that's exactly what my sentiments on the issue.
All right. Before we went, I was trying to think of the Amazon original movie that I watched last night, but I'll come to that. How to overcome plateaus. Plateaus are rarely plateaus. Plateaus are usually driven by inconsistent eating, bad eating, under-eating, or, as we mentioned earlier, misunderstanding of how the process works. Once you've built up strength, adding in a rep per month can actually be really good progress. That can be 5 to 7 pounds on your 1 rep max. So first, you have to have somebody to analyze your programming, your diet, and find out if you actually have a plateau, because most people don't. And I hate to reduce this question to that, but that's really what it's about.
Yeah. Check your sleep and stress levels too.
All righty. What's your guys' favorite breakfast cereal? Robert, go.
Man, I ate so much. I haven't had regular cereal. Like, I'll throw some regular Cheerios in like that giant Greek yogurt bowl I've talked about I make sometimes if I need some extra carbs at the end of the day just to hit my calorie needs. I haven't been a big cereal guy in a long time. When I was growing up, I ate cereal. I mean, that was my go-to any morning, noon, or night. If I needed something, I eat a cereal. A few of my favorites from back in the day, I ate damn near everything. I didn't like Cocoa Pebbles or Fruity Pebbles that much. I did like Frosted Shredded Wheat, Raisin Bran Crunch, Frosted Flakes, regular Cheerios, Kix, Cocoa Puffs every now and then was okay. I didn't like Smacks much. Golden Grams, no, I didn't really like that. Cinnamon Toast Crunch was good, but I'd have to say my 2 favorites were probably Frosted Shredded Wheat and Raisin Bran.
Man, my mom would yell at me because I'd end up eating like nearly a whole box of cereal a day, and this was back in the 70s and 80s when we were on the poverty train. But things like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, man, when Frankenberry was on sale and you get Frankenberry, I'd be like, nah, this isn't happening. I'd leave that for my sisters. I think like things like Cocoa Pebbles I could crush, like the chocolate ones.
Yeah.
But I was like a Cinnamon Toast Crunch guy. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, those are good. I liked actually eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch dry rather than mixing it in milk.
Yeah, I'm down with that. It's a good cereal.
Yeah.
Hey guys, got info on programming a bro split. I'm wondering how much volume you should put in each day. My book Massive Iron really covers a lot of that, and some of my programs you can find on my website above my noodle. A lot of good programs there that include some bro splits. Basically, you look at weekly volume either way, whether it's a full body or body part split. And 12 sets is a good place to start. for a body part split. 3-3-3, 3, 4 exercises of 3 sets is basically a good starting point for major muscle groups, and then minor muscle groups 6, maybe upwards of 8, depending on what you're doing. That's a good place to start. Golden grams, they were all right. I have no problem eating that. Can I build huge legs without squats and deadlifts? Yes, you can. Yep. I hate hip thrusts, though. I just find them tediously overused and, over-focused on. But, yeah, you can. I didn't deadlift until 2007. I didn't even know if it was a lift. You can do. There's so many good leg exercises out there. Hack squats, leg press, so much, and so many good back exercises. The deadlift is really not a great leg builder anyway. Thanks for the tip on vitamin C. Thank you. We're trying to get through all the questions here so we don't keep everybody on forever. Bench, OHP, biceps and calves, and pull-ups, rows, pull-downs, and triceps, 6-day splits. Any thoughts?
Where's your leg work at?
I don't know. It's hard to piece together what's going on. I'd have to look at the program in its totality. You got bench and overhead press, which is a vertical and horizontal press. You have pull-ups and row, which is a vertical and horizontal row and pull-downs, okay? You have arms. There's no legs. You have the skeleton of the beginning of a good program, but there's really no leg work in there. I'd have to look at the program in its totality, not being dismissive, but I'd love to look at the program. You can send it to me at Ben the Barman on Instagram.com. I'll focus on leg size once I'm comfortable with my upper body development. I'm not a big fan of that. That sounds like a cop-out. Love you, John, but you gotta do the leg work at least a little bit. 6 days a week training with no leg work is way overkill. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, you're looking at what you're doing: bench, overhead, biceps. You want to do that 3 days per week, and so that's 4 exercises, 5, so 20 sets. You're looking at 60 sets a week. No, that's way too much volume. That's going to be a lot of junk volume. You're not going to recover from that, even if you are skipping legs.
Yeah, I'm definitely not trying to be an asshole, John, but you definitely need somebody to look under the hood and help you piece that together. If you want to consider joining the Massive Iron Insider, which is available at superlivingtoday.com, I'd be happy to help you out with that. Have you ever tried German volume training? Yes. It sucks. Everybody's obsessed with it. I've had one client get through it. It's okay. It's not magic. I don't really think it's the best way to train. It's a feasible way to train. It's an okay way to train, but I'm kind of over it, to be honest with you. Do you recommend such training to get over a plateau? Number one, I doubt you have a plateau. Usually plateaus are misunderstanding of math, the process, or inconsistent eating or training. But if you did have such a plateau, I would probably not have you doing German volume training. Anything to add to that, Robert?
Nope. You echoed my sentiments to a T.
It's just like I'm over German volume training. Everybody talks about it. Nobody completes it. And I've never really seen anybody get good results from it. It's an 8-week, 10-week program or whatever. What are you expecting? Christian, would you recommend doing weighted calisthenics only for the upper body? No. If you were into calisthenics, do calisthenics. But as a muscle builder, no. Do what's conventional over the decades. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Hey, there's nothing wrong against calisthenics. I love body weight stuff. I do body weight stuff for every muscle group. Nothing wrong with it. Do what you love, but it is not a replacement. You can insert that into a program, weighted pull-ups, weighted dips, inverted rows, but it's not a replacement for the other exercises. The more exercises, the better, within reason. Just wanted to say thanks for all the info. Thank you. Is there any difference between Ryan is an insider as well? Any difference between eating raw and cooked eggs, bioavailability of protein? There's Robert. Before you dive in, there's a lot of scare about raw eggs. But I remember looking back in the day, the likelihood that a raw egg would be detrimental to your health was like 1 in 20 or 25,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
so.
It's I would say it's massively overblown. The thing about the raw eggs, eating that. That being said, cook the damn things. Boiled, soft boiled, hard boiled, scrambled, fried, over easy, poached, anything. Cook the eggs. Not for the salmonella concerns, but the bioavailability is much higher cooked than raw. So all you see these people throwing raw eggs into their shakes, don't do that. Just eat them.
Yeah, and as far as like the risk of salmonella, is that what they're concerned of?
Yeah.
Like the risk is very low, but it's like the risk of having drunk sex with a woman or man you don't know, whatever your thing is. Don't risk it. The risk might be low, but don't risk it.
Yeah.
Because the one time it hits you, there's your lottery ticket. Rat race. I can feel left shoulder tendonitis if I do 15 sets of 10 every other day. Now I totally stopped training. You shouldn't totally stop training. You should evolve your training so you don't have that kind of that happening. There's you really need somebody to look at and coach you and say, this is where you should pull back. This is where you should not pull back, etc.
That's a lot of volume. 15 sets every other day. That's 45 sets for your shoulders over the course of a week. That's massive overkill.
Sups for trying to get huge. Goat's testicles. I don't know. Creatine. Next question. Thanks for answering all these questions. You bet. We appreciate everybody's support. C.L. Wintenberg. Do you think reverse grip, bent over, straight bar rows like Yates are better? No, I don't think they're better. Are they useful? Yeah, I got clients doing them. I don't think they're better than overhand rows. Like as with anything, Robert, when two people try to do it, when you're trying to do a comparison, like an either or between two compound movements, I usually say both. Rotate them every other workout. See what you like. If you like one, keep it. If you don't like the other, dump it.
Exactly. You're gonna be pulling to a little bit different spot on your body too. Like using the reverse grip, you'll be able to get your elbows further behind your back, which will help get like the lower lats engaged and everything. Than if you're pulling overhand, which will emphasize more of like the rear delts and stuff like that. So yeah, use a mixture of them. One's not better than the other.
All right, Jim Rat, have you ever seen some of the lifts Rhiannon Lovelace does? That sounds like a Pornhub channel. That'll probably get back to her, and she'll probably come after me. But it's just humor, kids. No, I've not seen Rhiannon Lovelace. So many good lifters out there, it's hard to keep track of. But I stay in the tunnel of my client work, to be honest with you. I don't see much outside of that anymore. Should I continue or stop training if I feel pain? You really need somebody to dive deep in that, because there's different types of pain and there's different types of things that create pain. There's muscle pain, sharp pain, overuse injury pain, that sort of thing. Cody June. Is it really difficult to separate the correlation between size and strength for long-term muscle gains? Is it difficult? Look, the average individual that is trying to build a base is going to be doing the same thing over the course of the first 2 to 4 years. Most people don't do it. It's basic. It's simple stuff. The execution is where people fall short. So what people fall short in as well is they try to look at advanced strength training techniques and apply those, and all of a sudden beginners are doing it. Like if you don't deadlift 225, you have no business doing halting deadlifts or deficit deadlifts or, bullshit, whatever. So we overcomplicate it and make it seem way too complicated. For the average individual, it's a really simple process, and there's no need to overcomplicate it. Been a while from the gym since August due to lockdown. How long before I get back my strength? It should come back pretty quickly. I was away from the gym for about a year after my daughters, and my strength came back. I think in 6 months it was all back. So it's definitely possible. Thoughts on alternating splits, like full body 1 week and a bro split the next? It can be done. You just have to do it wisely. I had a program that I put together where you did full body and a body part split at the same time. It was basically a body part split where at the end or the beginning, you focused on one muscle group. Like you can do shoulders and back and chest, have 3 working days, and then do legs on each day. So you can combine a bro split and a full body workout, or you could cycle full body and bro split. Yes, you can do it. There could be some value to that, like cycling intensity. It just has to be done correctly. All right, last one. I just trained 3 days a week. Completely lost what the qualifier was to that because that was way.
Scoot up, Steve. It says I'm a beginner 3 months and do only deadlift, bench press, and squat. Should I do more?
Oh, as we said before, just do both. Do both. All right, guys, that's it. We're 2 hours and 30 minutes in. Robert, I appreciate you hanging tough.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you joining us. I appreciate everybody joining into the program. We'll be here every Friday at 11 a.m. If we miss your questions, head over to Instagram at the Barman or at the Supplement Engineer. So, Robert, where can they find you on social media and podcasts?
Podcast is the Supplement Engineer podcast, available on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play, Spotify, all the major podcast hubs out there. You can also find me, the Supplement Engineer, on YouTube. Email is thesupplementengineer@gmail.com. You can find me at the Supplement Engineer on Instagram, although I'm really not active on Instagram all that much. Email or the YouTube channel is probably the best way to get a hold of me. Podcast tomorrow, The Final Scoop, with my international band of brothers and industry insiders. We're hosting Dan Larenko from Ghost, the CEO and founder of Ghost, on there. 1 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Supplement Engineer YouTube channel for tomorrow. So, yeah, that's everything in a nutshell.
So before I ask you what you're doing this weekend, watch this movie last night. And Robert, have you watched The Peanut Butter Falcon?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
All right, Peanut Butter Falcon is an amazing movie. It's just a good human story. It involves a kid with Down syndrome that wants to be a pro wrestler. But we watched this last night. It's a film from 4 years ago, The Fundamentals of Caring. And it's a really good film along the lines of The Peanut Butter Falcon. It's basically a kid with disability and never gets out of the house. And it's a good movie. So anybody looking for something that a little bit feel good in the hell that we're in right now, I strongly recommend The Fundamentals of Caring and The Peanut Butter Falcon. Robert, you seen any good movies this last month?
New movies? I don't think so. I've gone back and watched a few of like other movies. Like I went and rewatched Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Captain America, Civil War, some of the Underworld movies. I went back and rewatched those. The first 2 were really good. I never saw like the last 3 of them that they made. They're all Rise of the Lycans was okay, but the most recent 2 ones, Blood Wars and Awakening, are fucking awful. They were really awful. Like I really liked the first Underworld, but somehow it's like the special effects got worse in the latter 2 movies. I don't understand how or why, considering technology is much better now for doing CGI than it was in 2003 when the first movie came on.
Wow.
But I've been on mostly like a comic book action kind of kick lately. I might go watch Roadhouse later. I've been kind of craving that. They were asking about like guilty pleasure movies. Roadhouse is kind of up there. I like Roadhouse a lot. It's a good one.
I have not thought about Underworld in forever. I doubt my wife's seen it, so we might have to go and relook at that. What are you doing this weekend for fun, Robert?
Well, so I mentioned earlier, Sandy's been doing online classes. She's working her way to her PhD for math education. And so she's been devoting like the first half of the day on Saturday and Sundays from like 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. working on like math problems because she's got classes on Monday and Wednesday. So usually me and the halfling are out hanging out. So we'll go on a walk around the neighborhood, or I've got these omnibuses of the Infinity War and the Infinity Gauntlet Marvel comic series. So we're working our way through the Infinity War right now. So she loves reading about Thanos and Galactus and seeing all the different Marvel superheroes and whatnot. So we're doing that. Tomorrow afternoon will probably Iron Wolf like we usually do. Have upper body workout tomorrow. I've got legs on Sunday and doing some work outside of that.
I ain't doing nothing but trying to do a 2-hour run tomorrow. And I got tonight I'm on a show, 2-hour show. to our podcast.
Hey.
It'll be live on Instagram. I'll post more information later tonight, but that'll be live, and then I'll just be working this weekend. Just work. When I'm not working, I'm playing a little bit of Rocket League, or one of my guilty pleasures is just analyzing baseball statistics to find things people don't see.
That's cool.
That's kind of what I do. All right, Robert. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.
You too, Steve.
Bye now.
Bye.